live and local news update.
4 people shot, 1 man under arrest. I'm Chris Davis. But for now, the Kern County Sheriff's Office is still not saying exactly what went down or how it went down early Sunday morning on Decatur Street in Oildale, only discussing the results. And the result is that all 4 people, including a child, are in the hospital, victims of gunshots fired by, according to deputies, 34-year-old Tyler Boyer, who they say was locked up Sunday afternoon about 5 and is still on jail on a $2 million bail. They have not said what led them to arrest Boyer, but indications are that all 4 victims are all expected to survive. Dealing drugs from a motel room is a risky prospect for parolees, but Kern County probation officers believe they caught 3 people, 2 of them probationers, with the goods in a room at the Vagabond Inn on Knutson Drive.
Without a
Kyle
hotel.
Gregory and Eloy Browning are the ones on probation, and a 3rd person, Courtney Harris, was also there and was also arrested when those officers say they found 2 pounds of fentanyl, stolen copper wire, and other evidence that the room was being used to push the drugs. When things spill into a busy highway, the chaos can be multiplied exponentially, and that happened Monday afternoon on Highway 58 in Bakersfield with a wreck that involved a jackknife semi-truck and at least 4 other vehicles, according to the Highway Patrol. It happened just west of Union Avenue just after 3:30, and the debris came from the semi-truck. The promise that OPEC will be releasing more oil into the market and the opening of the Strait of Hormuz to oil traffic still has not caused dramatic drops in gas prices. The average across California for regular this afternoon is $5.31, says Gas Buddy. The least expensive in the area is still at a station in Wofford Heights, selling it for $4.49. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
To the rest of well, in a month from now, this Hollywood big shot's gonna give you what you want.
Too late. They start shooting in a week.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing for those streaming on YouTube. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. We're streaming live at KERNradio.com. Chris Burdick is producing the show on the 7th day of July. And another busy broadcast. All right, I got good news, and I got bad news, and I got good news. The bad news is no Teresa Goldner today. She is traveling. The good news is she's traveling back to Bakersfield, so she'll be live in studio next week. And the other good news is, I couldn't get it today, but Clayton Campbell will be with us tomorrow. That's kind of good news. Thought I had him today. And I forgot. That's why I said good news, bad news, and good news, because I thought I was going to say, and Clayton Campbell is filling in. No, he couldn't do it today, but he will be with us tomorrow. But it's a Tuesday, so Howard Marcus will be here at 4 o'clock, and we have plenty to talk about. The clock is ticking on Graham Plattner, as I explained yesterday, and Democrats are running like rats off of a sinking ship. It is amazing. You'll hear just a little bit, just from, I think I just got Elizabeth Warren saying what a great guy Graham Plattner is, and this is the kind of guy Maine needs. You betcha. That's almost a direct quote. You bet. Yeah, okay. And they're all Roy Khanna, and the only smart Democrat is Fetterman. The oddball with the hoodie is the only one that said, I told you so. I told you so. Haven't you listened to Toni Morrison or Maya Angelou? Maya Angelou. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And when somebody tells you that they've engraved a tattoo of a Nazi symbol for 18 years, 2 decades, and then claims, what? That's a Nazi symbol? That's news to me. The fact that that did not automatically disqualify this man shows where the Democratic Party is. And as I told you yesterday, do not believe for a minute that the Democratic Party got off Plattner because this young woman, who you'll hear from, the woman who claims that she was dating him, it was consensual. She told him not to come to the house. He came anyway in a drunken stupor, snuck into the house, got upstairs, and she basically said, at one point, I realized this was not my choice, something to that effect. That's not why they're jumping off Graham Plattner. They're jumping off Graham Plattner because he can't win. Pure and simple. He cannot beat Susan Collins at this point. Because if having a Nazi tattoo doesn't disqualify you, then what does? What in the 21st century disqualifies you for being a United States Senator, if not cozying up with the Third Reich? Which I try to tell people, don't I? Don't I almost on at least a weekly basis try to tell you people, stay away from the Third Reich? Indiana Jones is the only guy that can mess around with the Third Reich. Just leave it alone. Don't go there. Don't put tattoos on your body and then be like, what? I mean, it would be comical if this guy wasn't this close from being one of 100. We'll unpack that. You'll hear from some of the players, blah, blah, blah. The Tyler Robinson, day 2 of his preliminary hearing is going on, and it's getting interesting. The prosecution is presenting much more of its case than one could imagine. We saw things today in court, I'm sure some of you saw it as well, that we've never seen before. Tyler Robinson running around that campus prior to the shooting, shortly after the shooting, hours after the shooting. Did you know that he had returned to the campus hours after the shooting? I guess that's when he retrieved the rifle. But there's video of him changing clothes. He's in one set of clothes when he first comes to campus, then he leaves and he's in another set of clothes. And he's seen limping, Mr. Burdick, when he returns to campus. Now, don't just shout out an answer. Think about the entire day. When he comes back to campus the second time, why is he limping?
He fell off the roof.
Come on, think about what happened that day, what he did, and how he did it. How did he shoot Mr. Kirk?
The rifle from a roof.
With a what?
So I was right. He fell off the roof.
No, with a rifle.
Okay.
How did he get the rifle in there? He had it shoved in his pants. He had the rifle shoved in his pants. That's the only thing I can come up with.
I see.
And all the other pundits that I saw on television this morning. I mean, well, how else could he have gotten it up there?
True.
The video shows there's no rifle, and he certainly had one. And all of a sudden, he's looking like Walter Brenner. I'm coming, John Wayne. I'm coming, Duke. You know what I'm saying? So this is an open and shut case, but this video is pretty compelling. We'll unpack that for you a little bit. What else is going on? More trouble for Marcus Wiley. Now his wife is claiming that he raped her. Now, that didn't come out in the initial arrest. He was arrested. They were on a basketball trip with their children. They have 3 kids. They're all athletes, obviously. Marcus is a huge guy. And his wife, I think, played collegiate basketball. Bye, Lisa. And it happened in Orlando, where she claimed that in front of their children, he poked her in the face with his finger, and he's been abusing her for years. And she now told TMZ that he raped her. We'll unpack that for you. And ABC and The View is fighting the fact that they are not considered a news. Wait, let me get this straight. Their news title allows them not to have to provide their lack of news. Please stand by. Please stand by. This was the first thing I did this morning, so I can't remember. ABC fights FCC over news title, wants ability not to provide equal time. That's the fight. Because if they're categorized, then they have to, as we're supposed to, but even the FCC doesn't monitor us. And I'm not even sure we'd be considered a news, this be a news show, but we go out of our way regardless to provide equal time. And that's what they're trying to avoid. This all began when James Tellerico, the Democratic Texas candidate for Senate, was on the show, and they wouldn't allow Ken Paxton to come on. They didn't want him, the Republican challenger. And that's what started all this. And the FCC started looking at it. And Trump's FCC is looking to get at ABC, NBC, CNN, CBS anyway. So we'll get into that a little bit. And the Dodgers blew a 6-1 lead last night, and then blew a 3-run lead in the ninth. Tanner Scott is up to his old tricks, doing his best Kenley Jansen impersonation, blowing a 3-run lead in the ninth. But it's the Dodgers. It's the Dodgers. We tie it up in the ninth. We tie it up again in the 10th. And Dalton Rushing gets a walk-off base hit, and we win it nevertheless, even though we blew a 5-run lead. And I'm on just a couple of hours sleep, about 4 or 5 hours sleep. I had to get up early this morning to watch Coco Gauff defeat Jessica Pegula, the daughter of Bills owner. What's his first name? Terry Pegula. And since I've said that one of the three ladies, because Naomi Osaka went down in defeat, I said it's going to be one of those three ladies, either Jessica, Coco, or Naomi. Since it's now down to Coco, she gets the wrath of the mush. She's trying to win her first Wimbledon, and by the process of elimination,
to her.
By process of elimination, I assured the listeners yesterday one of the three of them were going to win. Well, two of them are out. So I can only cast my spell on poor little Coco.
You already kind of cast it on Pegula too, because you were leaning for Jennifer yesterday.
No, I wasn't. Over Coco?
You were going for
No. Remember, I said I hated her because she was the Bills owner, and she could lose all her money and still live a lavish lifestyle. No, I wasn't rooting for Jessica Pegula over Coco Gauff. I mean, you should know that if for no other reason, and y'all just ignore this. I'm just talking to Chris right now on a race tip. Just ignore that. Just absolutely ignore that.
Sell yourself out on that one.
I don't root for people based on color. He said, rolling his eyes. And that's about it. Let's get started. We got a busy show on this Tuesday. And don't forget, we've got lots going on later in the week. As I mentioned, tomorrow we're going to talk with Clayton Campbell, local attorney and overall good egg, Republican committee member. And then Thursday, the attorney general candidate for the Republican Party will join us. And I believe Kernak the Magnificent visits on Friday as well. I am overdressed in a long white shirt, and I am about to melt. Cascabel and I are feuding over the thermometer. I turned it down to 69. He put it back to 73. Or somebody did.
Here in a minute.
That's what I thought.
Not gone already. I need my computer back.
That's what I thought. Somebody put it back to 73. Maybe Flores did on his way to his office. I don't know. Because the hallway, I'll give you this, the hallway is freezing.
It's pretty.
But this room is I could put rocks in here and pour water on it and have a sauna. Kidding me? Quick time out. We're just getting started on this Tuesday. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
A educational
they're
conversation between J.D. Vance and Bill Maher. This is the opportunity. This is the door that's been opened. You got 13 members now of the Democrat Party saying, hey, we like capitalism. And this is the opportunity for other Democrats that agree with Bill Maher that let's take our party back and let's get off this road to socialism.
Weekdays 9 to noon, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
The lovely ladies at KC Steakhouse are eager to get back to work. They got a rare Saturday off for the 4th of July celebration. And where would you rather be if you're trying to beat the heat and have one of the best steaks you'll have in Kern County? One of the single most iconic restaurants in Bakersfield, KC Steakhouse. And as I try to stress to you guys, of course, the ribeye is one of the favorites. I'm kind of a filet guy in New York on occasion, but not everybody, particularly when you go in large groups for birthdays and anniversaries. I just ran into the Paula family celebrating their son Tim's birthday, and it's not everybody is into red meat. That's why Chef Daniel has advanced the menu. I've told you about the chicken breast that I get, the Ralph Bailey. It's covered in a mushroom and spinach creamy sauce. the different fish dishes, the halibut, the swordfish, the mahi-mahi, and even the blackened cod, which is something new that they put on the menu as well. And the lobster mac and cheese, the fettuccine alfredo with chicken. Are you kidding me? It is a vast menu. Chef Daniel does an incredible job. Don't forget about live music Tuesday through Saturday. And don't forget about the Stockyard next door. It's KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsor of the Ralph Bailey Show.
I love days like these at the pool, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. I'm ready to make a splash with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza. Skyrizi is a prescription-only injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. At 4 months, most people saw 90% clearer skin when measured from head to toe, and many were even 100% plaque-free. People also saw significant improvement in psoriasis symptoms of pain, redness, itching, and burning.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Now there's nothing on my skin, thanks to Skyrizi, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
So you did have a date that day. You were all dressed up. You were, because we checked you out. You were in a dress. We're like, what?
No one can beat us. No one can
That's what brought my attention to. I'm like, what's going on today now? You got another gig or something? Hey, no, you look nice.
Carpet Outlet Plus installed over 1 million square feet of flooring last year alone. Over 20 years of Bakersfield's best flooring store means you can trust us with your hardwood, laminate, vinyl, and of course, carpet. Come in today to see over 100 waterproof floors from our in-stock inventory. It's probably been time to change your floors for a while, so call, click, or stop by today. Your free in-home estimate is waiting for you. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
The only way to drink water, ice cold. That's why I have a problem drinking it at home. Because I'm too stupid to put it in my refrigerator. So it'll be like 9 o'clock, and I'll be like, "Oh, I still have some water left from the shop." And I'm like, "Oh, it's in my bag." And then I put it in the freezer. I'll get it 15, 20 minutes later, and then I get it at 9:30 tomorrow morning. It's a block ice. Ralph Bailey, ladies and gentlemen. The convoluted boy, would my life make a great reality show. Although he couldn't really do a reality show in my life because it would be really exciting, but then for days upon days, it would be really, really boring. Really, really boring. This Senate race in Maine certainly ain't boring. And now that this young woman has come forward, and good for her. You know, I have always said, ever since I first got into journalism when I was younger than Chris Burdick, I said, I don't understand why we as journalists almost enable women to feel bad, not badly, to feel bad about being victimized by a violent crime. Rape has nothing to do with sex. Now, I know that's easy for a male to say because it's much more of an intrusion on a woman. I absolutely get that. I'm not an idiot. But why do we, and kind of lend into that? Like, oh, we're not going to put your name in the paper because it could be shameful. There's nothing shameful about being raped. Any more than being mugged in a restaurant and being punched twice in the face from some guy you've never met before, or having your purse stolen violently on the street. It is a violent crime that's got nothing to do with sex. And this woman has come forward and she sat down with Jake Tapper and described the situation. Tapper asked some really difficult questions. We're an adult program. This is an adult topic. So if you've got children in the car, you may not want to hear from this young woman. Here is bite one.
Just to underline the point, you're not coming forward because you have any political motivation.
No, not at all. That was actually one of the huge reasons that I didn't come forward.
Be as direct as I can. Did Graham Plattner rape you?
By definition, yes. Absolutely. He violated multiple layers of consent that night by coming into my home when I asked him not to, and by advancing on me when I told him not to, and furthermore, another incident that I had told him not to do, and
with protection.
yeah. So, yeah. By the way that my nervous system reacted to this experience, absolutely.
Ruben Gallegos has rescinded his full-throated endorsement. Bernie Sanders left a memo out. I've spoken to him. I've asked him to step aside. It's just a matter of when he intends to do it. In fact, even the Plattner camp is saying it's just a matter of now what say he has in selecting a candidate. Because as I told you, Janet Mills finished second. She was once a popular governor. She's now 78 years old. They don't think she would fare well against Susan Collins, so they're looking elsewhere. They're looking for a Plattner-esque, sans the Nazi tattoo, sans the sexual abuse, sans the rape. And that's what makes this whole thing so incredibly fascinating. Because most of the pundits, I don't know Maine people, I don't know Maine government, I don't know Maine politics, but most of the pundits insist they could have, Susan Collins, the Republican, was so ripe for defeat, as many incumbents are. We've talked about this. Bad time to be an incumbent. Really is. Really bad. Go ask John Cornyn. Go ask Bill Cassidy. Go ask Tom Tillis. Go ask Joni Ernst. It's a bad time to be an incumbent. It really is. And to think that they could have selected any moderate Democrat in the state of Maine, literally, any moderate would have made it and defeated Susan Collins. But they stood by this guy. And this exposes not only the hypocrisy of the Democratic Party, because that's obvious, but exposes the New York Times. Because now, I forget the young woman's name, but the third woman who the Times claimed they could not corroborate her story is now saying, what about me? And she's saying that to the Democratic Party as well, because this is the party who went after Brett Kavanaugh, went after several Republicans, and they went with the Me Too movement, and they went with the theory and the motto, believe all women. Yeah, believe all women, unless it's a Senate seat that we desperately need to flip the Senate. Then we can live with him being a Nazi. We can live with him taking women and twisting their arm behind their back, yanking them out of cabs, throwing them around, the Reddit comments. I mean, all that they lived with before it just became the tipping point yesterday with this woman coming forward. Let me just give you a little taste. Here is Pocahontas, as the president calls her. Here is Senator Elizabeth Warren. Just a little bit.
Wow, it is so good to be here in Maine. I am here because Washington needs fighters, and Graham Plattner is the fighter we need. You bet.
You bet. You bet. He's the Nazi that we need. If you've got a lobbyist that needs to be raped, he's your guy. If you try to break into this guy's house, he said in writing, he'd rape you. He doesn't see it as sexual. You bet. This is your boy. This is how hypocritical and how bogus the New York Times is. Because this woman said, they said they couldn't corroborate her story. This is prior to the woman that I'm about to hear from again. But she said that they couldn't corroborate her story. And she said, I gave them 5 people. And they called none of them. They called none of them. They didn't try to corroborate her story. And this is the New York Times. Now, I don't care what you think of the New York Times. I know a little bit more about journalism than you do. Unless it's Jim Scott listening or Robin Mangren listening or Mike Trahi or somebody like that. Trust me, I know more about journalism than you do. And the New York Times is an outstanding newspaper. So what that means is they didn't make a mistake. They didn't forget to corroborate her story. They didn't want to corroborate her story. They didn't want her story to be true. So they just said, screw it. We need the Senate. We're not going to trip this Graham Plattner up. Just ignore the 5 people that she told us to write. Here is more from the most recent rape victim.
He had taken something that I said as an invitation, and that's not how I meant it. And I quickly clarified, and he sent a message back indicating that he would come over, and I said, no, don't come over. Like, I'm not in the mood. Don't come over. And I was more stern with that message. And then I didn't hear back from him. So I thought that that meant he got the message or gave up on it or whatnot. And so like half an hour later, I heard a noise outside my door. And then he came in. He just came into my house. It was unlocked. I live in an area where you don't usually have to lock your doors. I do now. So he had kind of like jumped on top of me and indicated that he had intentions that were sexual in nature. And I remember just at first being like, hey, I'm not into this. Like, I'm not in the mood. Like, don't, whatever. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, I feel like I've said this enough times. Like, he's not listening to me or he's not hearing me. And I looked at him and I remember this very specific look in his eyes. And I could smell alcohol and I was like, this is different. He is heavily intoxicated.
She was absolutely irrefutably believable. And that's why the rats jumped off the sinking ship. Well, no, that's not why. He couldn't win. That's why they jumped ship. If the polls were 54-46 Plattner right now, they would have hung with this guy and said that she should be respected, but should we believe her over him? They would have rationalized it. Quick timeout, more TRBS. I'd stick around if I you.
SRN News. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The U.S. military has launched new strikes against Iran. Early Wednesday, hours after 3 merchant ships were struck in the Strait of Hormuz. It was the latest exchange of fire to threaten the interim deal to end the fighting between the two countries. The renewed attacks were sure to add to the difficulty of negotiations aimed at fully reopening the strait, rolling back Tehran's disputed nuclear program, and reaching a permanent end to the war launched February 28th. Maryland lawmakers will meet for a special session next month to consider a constitutional amendment dealing with future congressional redistricting. Legislative leaders made the announcement Tuesday. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 130 points. The Nasdaq dropped 302. The S&P lower by 33. This is SRN News.
You'll hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. The man arrested and charged in the shooting of 4 people early Sunday morning on Decatur Street in Oildale has been ID'd by the Kern County Sheriff's Office as 34-year-old Tyler Boyer. Deputies have not specified what led to his arrest, and they are not talking much about the motive for the shooting. Dealing drugs from a motel room, a risky prospect for parolees, but Kern County probation officers believe they caught 3 people, 2 of them probationers, with the goods in a motel room at Vagabond Inn on Knutson Drive. Kyle Gregory and Eloy Browning are the ones on probation, and a third person, Courtney Harris, was also there and was also arrested when those officers say they found 2 pounds of fentanyl, stolen copper wire, and other evidence that the room was being used to push the drugs. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
We all start as tiny seeds, needing care, love, and a little sunlight. Then, boom, we sprout, stretch, and grow through the world of childhood and teen years. Before you know it, we're blooming, working, parenting, thriving. And yes, even golden petals can shine bright. Join Kern County Public Health and thrive like a poppy. Visit KernPublicHealth.com to learn more.
In 2026, Bay Alarm celebrates 80 years of security. With burglar and fire alarm systems, 24/7 in-house monitoring, and local service, our promise to the Central Valley remains the same. We got you. Learn more at bayalarm.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Lick program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vip Dev. He didn't have to stitch up any blown-off fingers after the 4th of July. He's probably pretty happy about that. We've got John Cox from the Californian with the news quiz. We've got news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. Right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Yeah. I made a horrendous wardrobe choice today.
You do kind of look like Prince Eric from.
I don't care what I look like. I feel like I'm about to catch on fire. It was like I almost turned around.
At the weather until JR told me to today.
It's gonna be bad.
It's gonna be bad for the next 2.
And I really wanted to play Saturday.
Good luck.
Yeah, because all the early tea times to make a turnip seed, he's like a super member. He can get us maybe at 7:30, 8 o'clock. Because playing with the fellas is fine. They're teeing off now at 6:30 on Sunday, so that's fine. But I've conquered Sunday. That's not even on my list anymore.
83 is major.
83, baby. I mean, that's the best score I've shot literally in a decade.
I get that.
In a decade.
I don't get why it happened, but I get that.
I can't explain it with all that was going on and the lack of sleep over the last couple of days and money issues. I spent a ton of dough in LA, and my mom, I got a call this morning from Kaiser Permanente, and I'm just like, oh Lord. And I'm like bracing myself. And they're like, is this Ralph Bailey, son of Mary Harriet Bailey?
Oh.
Yes. Well, we're having a hard time getting a hold of your mother. And your sister's not answering her line either. I'm not even first on the list. My mother doesn't even put me first on the list. Lisa thinks it's because my sister lives closer. My mother and I have had it's a long story. But anyway, so now I'm panicked. And I call my mom and there's no answer. And so my heart is literally beating. I can hear my heart beating. And about 10 minutes later, she calls me and I'm just like, and she had dialysis this morning, and she goes at 4 a.m. for dialysis. So then she slept for a little while, and that's the only reason I couldn't get a hold of her. But yeah, how I flew back in, figuratively speaking, and didn't even roll out of bed, and threw up an 83. It was so much fun, and there was never a time where I felt like I'm gonna screw this up. I never felt. I had a double on the front and I had a double on the back. The only double I had on the front was on a par 3. Yeah, I blew it. I pulled. No, that's horrible. To make a 5 on a par 3.
Yeah,
that
can't happen. The only one you made, I meant, is that it's not.
Yeah, the only one on the front. I made one on the back too. Yeah. I made. I can't remember where I made double on the back, but I did make a double on the back. Yeah, I blew a chip. Because I'm telling you, this chipper that I stole from Turnip Seed, I didn't steal it, he gave it to me. It's changed my short game.
Have you used the hybrid yet? The Renegade?
I did not, and I almost used it on 17, but I was like, I can't roll the dice because I was playing too well. I couldn't screw up. I couldn't experiment. I didn't hit it on the driving range either. But Randy Dizzle gave me a hybrid last week that I hate, but I think it'll fill the gap. But I think I've just found my swing. I found the slot. I found the spot and it's because of video. You know, if I'm talking to golfers, the best thing you can do is videotape your swing. It really is. Because even when I could play back in the day, I thought I had like this classic upright, classic Tom Weiskopf swing. And I played in this tournament. This is one of the best tournaments I played. It was at River Lakes. And they had a group set up on the third hole, which is part 3. And this was part of the tournament. And they televise the hole as if it's a professional golf tournament.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then they give you the tape at the end of the tournament. It was really cool.
That's
It was
awesome.
back in the day we had, VCRs. But yeah, for example, they'd be like, and now on the tee is Ralph Bailey. Ralph is a talk show host for American General Media, former television reporter, but he failed at that. Because they kind of like, the guys that, kind of give you a little business. Failed at that, and that was former newspaper reporter, and failed at that, and stumbled into radio. He's got about an 8 iron. Wow, he hit the green, and he 2-putted. So went home and I looked at it, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I'm all hunched over, my hands are all low, and then when I looked at it most recently, what I was doing was I was coming over the top. My club was like right here. And then I looked at all the pros, and most of their clubs are behind their heads. They're nowhere here. My club head is like, so I was swinging like this, and then just kind of peeling out, and everything was going like that. And so now I'm just kind of caught it back here, and now I'm coming across, and I'm getting the entire face on the club. And yes, for those of you who don't play golf, that's about 4 minutes you'll never get back in your whole life. Vivid videotape of Tyler Robinson, the suspected killer of Charlie Kirk, was played today at his preliminary hearing, which is kind of surprising. There's a sexual analogy I could make, but normally at a preliminary hearing, they just give you enough to get it to trial, because is there really anybody on the planet that doesn't think this is going to trial? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think the attorneys could come into court and say, "We believe he did it, Your Honor. We rest." And the judge is going to take this to trial. I mean, let's be serious about this. But they're showing quite a bit. And we played the audio from you yesterday of two of the police officers that were on campus. And I don't know how much of this, you got the Kathy Nestor stuff, didn't you?
I believe so.
The attorney. This is Tyler Robinson's defense attorney, who I told you, this is why, you got to respect defense attorneys. They're a part of the process. And yes, every single citizen, even the most guilty, the most suspected, are due their rights. They're, innocent till proven guilty. But present facts. Don't just try to gum up the works to try to get your boy off. Either he did it or he didn't do it. But as you'll hear, and I alluded to this yesterday, they're playing games and trying to bring in stuff that has nothing to do with the murder of Charlie Kirk.
When you saw the holster, can you describe to me what it looked like?
An empty concealed holster.
For what type of
For
weapon?
a pistol.
Okay. And did it have any markings on it?
I didn't even know, not that I noticed.
And what happened to that holster?
I have no idea.
Did you ever take custody of it?
Nope.
Did you ever tell anyone else to take custody of it?
Nope.
You just left it on the grass?
I did.
Was it ever fingerprinted to your knowledge?
I have no idea.
Okay. You mentioned that as you were coming down into the grassy area.
Stop for a second. This may not be fair, and I may not know what I'm talking about, even though I did cover the courts in television and in print. But whenever you hear an attorney, and some attorneys might call the show and go, "Ralph, you have no idea what you're talking about." You're absolutely right, Ralph. You have no idea what you're talking about. But it's always been my just gut feeling, when you hear an attorney ask a question, particularly when it's in a series of questions, and then they kind of stop, they either didn't get the answer that they wanted, or they really don't know where to go, because this is a bunch of nonsense. I think it's pretty clear to every potential juror in the great state of Utah that a rifle shot killed Charlie Kirk. The presence of a gun holster for a pistol has nothing to do with whether Tyler Robinson is innocent or guilty. This is called gumming up the works and trying to stretch this out for reasons that are inexplicable. Because their best bet is what Carmelo Anthony's parents should have done, and they should seek a plea deal and just hope that they can get this boy off death row. because this kid is as guilty as it gets. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll play some more of this attorney, and we'll talk about the vivid video that was played today and what the judge saw in this preliminary hearing. Again, we're not even at trial yet. This is just to determine whether it will go to trial. And again, I don't know much, but I do know, I'm pretty certain Tyler Robinson's going to trial. That's my bet. Yeah. Howard Marcus will join us at the top of the hour. In the 5 o'clock hour, we'll talk about The View, what they're complaining about these days. They want their cake and eat it too. Get you caught up on what's going on as Wimbledon winds down. Coco Gauff gets to the semifinals for the first time in her career and 4-time champion. Did you know that Naomi Osaka, in her height, when she was kicking Serena's ass at the end of Serena's career, won 4 majors 4 years in a row? 2018, she won the Australian. 2019, she won the U.S. Open. 2020, she went back to Australia, won that again. And 21, she won the U.S. Open again. Never won the French, and she's just not that good in grass. I forget the child's name, but she took her in straight sets. It was close, but not that close. We'll get you caught up on that. And the Dodger machine just keeps on rolling. Sometimes they come from behind. Sometimes they blow leads. But at the end of the day, they're going to win about 66% of the time. Got the best record in baseball. And again, we're just starting to get healthy. Tommy Edman is back. He's blistering the baseball. Dalton Rushing has got to have Will Smith a little bit nervous. This kid's on fire. I don't think he's well liked by his teammates. Certainly not as beloved as Will Smith is. And I'm not trying to imply that he's ever going to take Will Smith's job anytime soon. But this kid's the real deal. It's kind of a head case. You see when he went through that stuff with Shohei and he was hitting himself in the head with a bat? Like, son, don't do that. No, don't do that. That's straight out Arena Sabalenka's playbook. She was seen on the court the other day cracking herself with her own racket. Guys, don't do that. That's not yet. Trust me on it. Don't do that. Quick time out. We're coming right back. It's TRBS on a Tuesday, right here on News Talk 96.1 AM 1230. And we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Lick program, we'll talk a little medicine with a friend, Dr. Vip Dev. He didn't have to stitch up any blown-off fingers after the 4th of July. He's probably pretty happy about that. We've got John Cox from the Californian with the news quiz. We've got news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. Right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
You know, it must be nice to be able to retire like Serena Williams and then say, I'm unretired. But for most of us, that's not the case. When we hang it up, that's about it. That's why you've got to be prepared for the late fourth quarter in your lives. And that's why I always stress that the smartest financial move I have ever made happened about 10 years ago when I became a client at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. And the other thing I always remind you about, I've turned on colleagues here at American General Media to Daniel, and they could not be happier about what Daniel has done for them financially. Call Daniel Petrie at 395-9400, 395-9400, or just tune in on Thursdays. He appears here every Thursday at 4:30, and his office is located right on the corner of 21st and Oak. Daniel Petrie and the folks at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice or a solicitation for advisory services by Daniel Petrie or MPWA Incorporated, DBA, Messmaker, and Petrie Wealth Advisors. The program host is a client and receives compensation and other financial benefits in connection with this advertisement, creating a conflict of interest. Experiences discussed may not be representative of other clients.
Look, folks, you already know that your garage door is a very important part of your home, from the overall look of the place to the safety and security it provides. So obviously, you should only trust the service, repair, and maintenance of your garage door to the pros at King Door Company. Their skill and product knowledge are unmatched in the industry, and that's no accident. The techs at King Door are rigorously trained at the King Door Academy. That's right. King Door has an in-house training facility to make sure your job is done right on the
You want
first
to try to kick it out right now?
They're trained in all the latest equipment, tools, and techniques. They even learn how to listen to customer concerns through role-playing exercises. And you'll see how well all this training works when they show up right on time in fully stocked service.
Good to go.
You ready? 3, 2. Hey, it's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Sangera Subaru. The world's biggest tournament is in full swing, and this summer, Sangera Subaru is bringing all the excitement right here to home. So they're kicking off July with some incredible offers on new Subarus. Right now, lease a 2026 Outback Premium CVT for $229 a month for 36 months with $5,017 due at signing. Plus, every Subaru comes standard with symmetrical all-wheel drive. So don't miss your chance to drive something new during soccer's biggest event of the summer going on right now at Sangera Subaru. So stop by, see my good friends Damon Culbertson, Hassan Levy, and test a drive. Stop by and see my good friends Damon and Hassan and test drive a new Subaru Sangera. So stop by and see my good friends Damon and Hassan and test drive a new Subaru Sangera Subaru, paving the way for a better community. 5500 Gasoline Alley Drive in the Bakersville Auto Mall. Let me just do it all over again. Yeah, I'll do it all. That was horrible. We'll do it again.
982298.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
I've got a black magic woman, got me so blind I can see.
So for those subscribing on YouTube, you have not changed the date or anything. I just changed shirts. I had on a long sleeve polo, and it was linen. So I thought it'd be somewhat comfortable, but I didn't realize that it would be, please stand by. Let's see what it is right now.
102.
99 degrees right now. And that's about as high as it's going to get. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and all of next week. It's just going to be the bear. It's going to start, like tomorrow is going to be 98. Today it's 99 as the high. But Thursday, 102. Friday, 106. Saturday, 104. Sunday, 102. Monday, 103, 105, 106, 103 all next week. Good.
Not looking forward to that.
I got to get out of here in August. I got to figure out something. I'm not feeling Vegas.
Tahoe.
I would love to go to Tahoe. The Sturgeon family's listening. Or any other family that's got a home up in Lake Tahoe that wants to take me there. I don't care.
Or do what I'm doing and go to Ventura area. That's where I'll be all next week.
I'm thinking about hanging out with the Bears.
Are you?
In Pine Mountain Club. No, I'm kidding.
I was going to say, you're going to chance it with Yogi and Boo Boo?
That was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. Once the woman told me to make sure that I locked my sliding glass door because the Bears can get on their hind feet and slide the doors open. That's when I'm out. I'm out. Because what if the door is locked and I hear this and I open up the shades and they're smoking the bear on my sliding glass door? You know what I'm saying?
You can prevent forest fires, Ralph.
I would, you know what? They would have to sue me because now, is it legal for me to take my Glock up there, or do you need a CCW to travel?
CCW.
So I couldn't take it with me to Pine Mountain Club.
Probably not legally.
Then I broke the law the last time I was up there because I took it with me. And had that bear been pounding on my sliding glass door, I'd have shot him right through the damn glass. Yeah, I'm making that up. I would not shoot a bear like that. But I don't know what I would do because I'm locked in because that bear could quite easily break that window, break that glass. Are you kidding? Have you seen some of the videos of these bears that get into cars and stuff and get into people's homes?
Yep.
Just
hard pass on that.
Yeah, big pass. I found that out when I went to Lake Tahoe. I was asking, why are there locks on the garbage cans? So it's our bears, Ralph. But what?
Yeah, I was actually.
They're like, yeah, we got bears, and don't mess around. You know who we need to call? We should just call Zucchini out of nowhere. I'm telling you, he's got the best bear stories, but he wouldn't want to be bothered. Chris Zucchini has had at least 4 or 5 encounters with bears. And the best one is the one with him and his son. I forget whether it was Anthony or Andrew, but he told them specifically, they were teenagers back then. They're both grown-ass men doing really well. They're both different businessmen. And they're in their mid-20s, maybe even late 20s at this point, mid-late 20s. And Andrew forgot to seal the fish guts. They went fishing that day, and you got to seal it in a plastic bag, and because if the bears find it, they'll come hunting for it. And Anthony didn't seal it up, and the car, the food was between the car and the tent. And the bear, Anthony's asleep. Chris wakes up and he hears this bear foraging through. He heard it coming through the woods.
Right.
And then he hears it foraging through the food. And now he didn't know what to do. Does he wake Anthony up and cut out the backside of the tent and walk around and get in the car and drive off? Or does he just let Anthony sleep? Because if he wakes up Anthony and he panics, they're both done. So he just waits it out, and all of a sudden he hears the bear throwing up. And the bear kind of waits till the morning, and he gets up crack of dawn before Anthony. And the bear had forged through their food and had gotten into Anthony's hot tamales. And that's what caused him to walk off. He didn't like the hot tamales.
That makes sense.
Other than that, he might have hung around and been like, let's see who's in that tent. You know what I'm saying? There are other ones where he's scared them off with pots and pans, and like it was on the other side of the river, so they thought they were safe. And then in the middle of the night, they heard water splashing, and they just like, they knew now he was on this side of the lake, or the river, and all I need is one. I don't even need one. I ain't going. If I don't have a bar, a pool, and room service, I'm not involved. Not involved. It's not. What do you got?
Someone just texted in, disputed what I said, that you can definitely transport with your 24 without a CCW. You just cannot have it loaded in the car with you.
Okay. All right. So I didn't break the
I
law.
don't think you can have it loaded in the car with you in the first place, but
I didn't have it loaded. I had the clip separate from the gun. I wouldn't carry a loaded gun with me in the car, but I had the gun in my bag, and I had the clip in a completely separate bag. But yeah, I wasn't going up to the mountains without my Glock. Are you gone crazy? 842-5376. We got Howard Marcus coming in here in just a second. Let's check the board real quick. What do you got?
Mary Marcus actually just texted.
What's up, Mary?
Says to ask Howard about his bear encounter when we lived in Hart Flat.
Oh, this ought to be rich. I can't wait to hear that story. I cannot imagine encountering a bear. I mean, that's my all-time fear. I've never, lions and tigers. When are you going to face a lion and a tiger? You know what I'm saying? I don't even go to zoos. But bears, hell, you could be in Arvin or Lamont and run into a bear. You know what I'm saying? You could literally be certainly Pine Mountain Club. Where else in this community could you be? I bet you could run into Wasco. No, not really Wasco.
Tehachapi, maybe?
Oh, definitely Tehachapi. Definitely Tehachapi. I would not be shocked if you could run into a bear. What else you got?
Ralph, if you want your team to win, don't let Trump near them.
Yeah, everybody's making fun of him. that he mushed the soccer team and
He just made everybody angry. That's all it was.
and they're saying that he mushed the Knicks, that the only game they lost was the game that he showed up at. I mean, it's just Trump derangement syndrome. But that is so funny to me that whole FIFA thing was like a one big day-long story, and it was just everybody was talking about it, and for what? And they had their chances, did they not?
Yeah,
I mean,
they had a couple
I actually watched it, and they had a couple of chances. The kid that had the shot that he missed left, he's got to make that.
Yeah.
That's got to at least be on goal. Maybe the goalie makes a stop, but it's got to at least be on goal. He missed that. That looked like a Ralph Bailey breakaway when I was in 8th grade.
A lot of
Remember I
them.
told you I'd always break away, and then I'd miss it by like 4 feet.
Yeah.
That's what that looked like. I
A
was
couple
like,
of those shots for them that went into shouldn't have happened. Like the one where the goalie came out and somehow lost the ball. I don't even know why you're out that far.
yeah.
But yeah, there are multiple.
And then the little
opportunities.
tip in, the guy was behind the defender. Well, how does that happen? How are you behind the scorer?
That's all I'm saying.
That's like getting an offensive rebound, just a layup. How is he inside of you? That just can't happen. They had their chances. They really did. And then it ended up, turning into kind of a blowout. Well, we don't have time. We'll read some more later on at the bottom of the hour. But in the meantime, we are headed to talk to Mr. Marcus, find out about his bear story. We'll tell you why Marcus Wiley could be doing some serious prison time. He is a Columbia graduate, a kid out of Compton. Talked about him yesterday. Used to be the poster child for the kid who embraced the magic bullet of education, got out of the ghetto, made good in the NFL, created a post-NFL career, and now he's up for domestic violence, and now his wife is insisting she was raped. That's all coming up, but Howard Marcus is next. Don't go anywhere.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN, 96.1 FM, K241CI Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
All, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A federal judge is rejecting the Justice Department's attempts to get names of 2020 election workers in Fulton County, Georgia.
The Justice Department in
What
April
up? I had to
obtained a
steal a shirt,
grand
man. I
jury
died in that
subpoena
white
seeking
shirt.
the names and
There's a
personal
big difference between
contact
the
information
this
of
is an
county
extra large.
employees
There's a big
and
difference.
volunteer poll workers. The county argued the subpoena was overly broad
Well, that's
and
what
meant
happened with
to
these
target
fans.
and
You can't tell
harass
me I'm not
President
flying.
Donald Trump's opponents. In his ruling Tuesday,
it's
U.S.
flooding.
District Judge
It's
William Ray
And every
called
time I wash
the
it, it gets
subpoena
worse and worse.
unreasonable. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The U.S. military has launched new strikes against Iran. The strikes began early Wednesday, hours after 3 merchant ships were struck on the Strait of Hormuz. It was the latest exchange of fire to threaten the interim deal to end the fighting between the two countries. The renewed attacks were sure to add to the difficulty of negotiations aimed at fully reopening the strait. Day 2 of the hearing of the man accused of assassinating conservative activist Charlie Kirk last September. Julie Eastman, a member of the public who waited in line to get into the Charlie Kirk hearing, says she had to be there to see it in person.
Erica got teary-eyed a little bit and was, putting her head down a lot of it. Charlie's mom got emotional. Yeah, a lot of people were just focused in on what was going on.
SRN News and our parent company, Salem Media, are partnering with Christian nonprofit Food for the Poor to rush emergency aid to victims in Venezuela. Listeners wanting to help can find an online banner at the top of our website at srnnews.com. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 130 points, the S&P dropped 33. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, John, why so glum? I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. Mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Of all the wireless companies in America, only one has 5 stars in every category from Consumer Reports. and that company is Pure Talk. Coverage, support, value, data. 5 stars across the board. Plus, no service contracts and no cancellation fees. Just phenomenal U.S. customer service on a crazy fast 5G network. Dial pound 250, say micro, and switch to a 5-star American wireless company that won't let you down. Pure Talk.
Wall Street banks have high.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
4 people shot, 1 man under arrest. I'm Chris Davis. But for now, the Kern County Sheriff's Office is still not saying exactly what went down or how it went down early Sunday morning on Decatur Street in Oildale, only discussing the results. And the result is that all 4 people, including a child, are in the hospital, victims of gunshots fired by, according to deputies, 34-year-old Tyler Boyer, who they say was locked up Sunday afternoon about 5 and is still on jail on a $2 million bail. They have not said what led them to arrest Boyer, but indications are that all 4 victims are all expected to survive. Dealing drugs from a motel room is a risky prospect for parolees, but Kern County probation officers believe they caught 3 people, 2 of them probationers, with the goods in a room at the Vagabond Inn on Knudsen Drive. Kyle Gregory and Eloy Browning are the ones on probation, and a third person, Courtney Harris, was also there and was also arrested when those officers say they found 2 pounds of fentanyl, stolen copper wire, and other evidence that the room was being used to push the drugs. When things spill into a busy highway, the chaos can be multiplied exponentially, and that happened Monday afternoon on Highway 58 in Bakersfield with a wreck that involved a jackknife semi-truck and at least 4 other vehicles, according to the Highway Patrol. It happened just west of Union Avenue just after 3:30, and the debris came from the semi-truck. The promise that OPEC will be releasing more oil into the market and the opening of the Strait of Hormuz to oil traffic still has not caused dramatic drops in gas prices. The average across California for regular this afternoon is $5.31, says Gas Buddy. The least expensive in the area is still at a station in Wofford Heights, selling it for $4.49. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
To the rest of the in a month from now, this Hollywood Big Shot's going to give you what you want.
Too late. They start shooting in a week.
I'm going to make him an offer again with you.
The Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Tuesday, 7th day of July. Oh, just weeks away from vacation. Just weeks. Still lots to do. I'll tell you the situation with Marcellus Wiley. His wife is now up the charges against him. He was arrested for domestic violence over the 4th of July weekend. Now she's claiming he raped her. It's getting pretty damn serious. ABC is fighting the FCC, trying to get an exemption so they don't have to provide equal time, God forbid. And there are a lot of changes. The only excitement really occurring in Wimbledon on the women's side. Novak Djokovic, however, has an opportunity with no Carlos Alcaraz. Now he only has to get past Sinner, one would think. I'm pretty sure he won 2 of the first 3 sets of his match today. You see how he's doing? I'm pretty sure he closed that thing out. There's no way that kid came back and won 3 straight sets against him.
He absolutely did, and his next round is against Sinner.
Really?
Yep.
In the semis. This ought to be rich.
Friday.
The winner wins the tournament.
Oh, you 100%.
100%. If Djokovic can somehow, at his age, stand 40 in the mug, literally, figuratively, he can pull it off, he wins the tournament. I don't think there's anybody. Although Zverev, or however I pronounce his name,
oh yeah,
he's tough too. He's tough too, coming off a French Open win. So it'll be one of those 3 men. Easy for me to say. Because Carlos Alcaraz is not in the tournament. In the meantime, it is a Tuesday. I had one special night of bliss. And one boy, some grief, some joy, memories are made of this. Speaking of memories, Howard, your wife tells us to ask about your bear adventure.
Well, I moved to Hard Flat, and we were literally 4,700 feet up on the side of Bear Mountain. And some names just don't occur to you why it was called Bear Mountain until it happens. You think about it, it's like, called Bear Mountain. Well, I found out the hard way. Yeah, we were up there for a while, and one day I came out, and what it was, I would turn on the corner, and right in front of my garage trying to get in was about a huge black bear. They range in size about 150 to about 400 pounds. This one was about 350.
Wow.
It's like 10 foot. So my first impulse is nobody's going to believe me. So I run back in and get my Kindle. And I suddenly realize, what am I doing? I run out there and get it on video, and I realize I'm standing here with flip-flops and shorts with a Kindle with a black bear staring at me like I'm next on its menu.
Yeah.
And realized this was not a good idea.
No.
And luckily, the bear usually they avoid humans. You got to worry when they don't run off.
Right.
And this one ran off. Well, the same bear came back in, and they were so strong. I had my garage bolt locked, with a cross bolt. It lifted the garage up, bent the bolt, still locked in place. Got inside, and it was funny. He ate knocked over a little mini freezer, ate everything in it of all things but the Nutrisystem food, frozen pot pies, you name it.
Yeah.
And all over the floor. And the next time it came, I decided I've had enough, and I introduced it to a 20 gauge with bird shot.
You shot it?
Way in the rump. Yeah, and bird shot. They have like 2-3 inches. They have very thick skin.
Yeah.
And heavy fur, a lot of blubber, which obviously apparently I was feeding at my expense.
Right.
And no, it was about, because it's what it is. It turned and looked at me. That's not a good sign when they're not afraid anymore.
Right.
And so let's just say I sped it on its way, and then it never came back. But we had numerous encounters.
Really?
Up there, about once every couple of weeks. One of these, there was bears everywhere. And the year this happened was the year of the giant fires in Paradise.
Right. So that's some down.
The wildlife biologist, he said, yeah, they were all coming south because their habitat had been destroyed in
right.
Central California. But you know what you had to do? I had to get boards with roofing nails every 2 inches and lay them in front of all the entrances to the garage.
Wow.
And then I had a double deadbolt on both sides of the garage because they're so strong, they'll literally just pull things open. And we learned not to lock our car doors because they'll just rip the door open.
Yeah.
And Mary found out the hard time. We came home one time, and Mary goes, "Hey, your truck pickup, your passenger side door in your truck's wide open." I said, "Well, I didn't do that. I was driving it." So we looked at the security camera, and a huge sow bear and a cub had come up, had gotten in the back seat of her car, had opened the door. It was unlocked. Opened the door, went inside, and apparently Mary was still enough to leave another candy bar in the car. Ate the candy. She went out the other side and closed the door behind her. We never knew she was in the car. My car door was open as her cub had got into my truck, and he fell out. He was so small I couldn't close the door. At least for flight. But yeah, it was an interesting. You move 30 miles from Bakersfield, and you have this mentality that it's
still in the city.
It's just a petting zoo, a treat.
Yeah.
No, they're wild animals.
Yeah, and that's when it's scary when they've got their kids, because that's when they panic.
Oh yeah.
When they think
another friend of mine popped one up there. He wasn't even playing. He was looking for deer, and about 150, 200-pound cinnamon bear charged him at about 15 feet. And he had a bolt-action rifle and managed to drop it right in front of him. Otherwise, he would have been in real trouble.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, could you actually kill him with one shot?
If you shot placements right, he had a 6.5 bolt-action rifle. The problem with the bolt-action rifle at that range, if you don't get it the first time, you're done.
Yeah.
Because
you don't have time to reload and fire again.
Reload. Yeah, people hunt them all the time. We only had one up here, and it literally ripped the coop of the reinforced coop up here completely off, and took a chicken. And what happened? They'll just keep coming back for a free buffet. And let's just say my neighbor took care of it with a 12 gauge. And once they do that, you can't get rid of them.
Right. Once they feel they got a food source, they're never going to stop coming back.
Right. Which is unfortunate because we've moved into their backyard.
Right.
I have a lot of sympathy for them. And the answer is you try and make your stuff as bear-proof as possible. You don't leave garbage out. All your garbage cans have to be securely contained. I actually had chains across with padlocks across all my metal trash cans. And you don't leave food in the car.
Yeah.
You You make it. Otherwise, you're just inviting them, and then the bear pays the ultimate price.
Yeah. And that's why I left Pine Mountain Club, just not specifically or exclusively because of my cowardice, although that was a great part of it. But the owners of the Airbnb I was staying at told me that the issue was they had a guy up there that was feeding the damn bears.
That's insane.
And
I had a neighbor doing the same thing.
Yeah, they fined him. They brought him in front of the city council because I didn't know they have apparently a municipality up there. Their own a mayor.
Well,
I
yeah,
guess.
it's an HOA.
Yeah, okay. And so they hauled him in front of the council and the whole bit, and they fined him. And he damn near got attacked by one of the bears, and he still was feeding them.
Yeah, it's a death sentence for the bear.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
kind, because eventually they have to put the bear down. Once it loses fear of humans,
Yep.
it becomes it won't stop with the guy that feeds it. It'll start breaking into houses and start going after everything else.
And then like I told the audience several times, I'm sitting on the patio with these people, and I asked the stupid question, do they ever come up here? And they're like, oh yeah, all the time. They come up on the patio. And so I didn't panic at that point, Howard, but my room had a sliding glass door was the entrance because they didn't want me obviously going through their home. And when they told me to make sure that I locked the sliding glass door because the bears get on their hind feet and can slide the door open, that's what I left the next morning, literally.
Yeah, they'll push open a normal door.
Yeah.
Even if it's double deadbolted, you have to have a security screen that opens outwards so they can't push it through.
Right.
And we had to put those on all the doors. All the exterior doors, I put security screens, and heavy welded ones, not a screen. And you just have to be aware of that, and we realize at some point something's going to go wrong, and you're going to have some depredation.
Yeah. What does bear spray work?
Well, I don't want to get close enough to try it.
No kidding.
That's the old joke. There was a joke about grizzlies and bear and scat. And they said you can tell black bear scat because it's round and black and small, and you can tell grizzly because it's a bit larger pile. It smells like bear spray. They're basically eating the guy. Yeah. So yeah.
Wow.
I wouldn't want to try it because even with the range is 10 to 12 feet, once the bears move incredibly fast, they can't run a human.
Yeah.
And the best answer is not to encounter them. But I've encountered them directly twice. The first time I came around the corner with one with a bird shot. I put Mary's 20 gauge by the front door, and it was literally 10 foot away. I came around one corner of the garage just as it was coming out.
See,
it was an eye opener.
I'm afraid. I think I would panic and run and get eaten.
Well, it depends on the bear. Most of the time, they're just as scared of you, which is interesting. Because how compare that they don't. We know better that I would want to get in a match with the bear, but the bears usually run off.
Right.
Pretty much normal behavior.
And you're supposed to go, you're supposed to raise your hands and that whole thing.
I wouldn't even try that. What I did is I just backed up and went back in the house. While the bear was reacting to me, I just went back in the house.
Yeah.
And, it's just part of nature. We have more and more people destroying habitat, moving into rural areas, and they expect it all to be downtown Bakersfield. It just isn't that way.
Yeah.
And there's a sacrifice to be made if you do that, and just be aware that there is a change in lifestyle, and you have to be aware of it. And I learned it over 6 years. You just have to make adjustments. If you don't like it, move back to Bakersfield.
Crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't do it. You have any other wildlife encounters up there?
Yeah, a bunch. It's amazing because you go out there and we've seen, my dog found out the hard way. You cannot be a very playful dog, but you cannot play with the skunk. The skunk does not want to play with you.
True that. And
we had to rush him into the bathtub, and that tomato juice stuff doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. Our dog got sprayed. Yeah, we used to have. I had never seen a skunk until we moved out to the South Bay, and then it would come and eat the dog food, and would walk up right to the back patio and eat the dog food. And I was like, that is amazing. They're beautiful animals up close.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah, they are. The only downside is they can carry rabies. But we had one that was. My in-laws lived down below me in my workshop, and they called it Stinky. We're feeding it. I said, well, don't feed him up here. And they didn't have any pets, so they were actually literally feeding the skunk. And I went, well, I guess it's okay. I mean, it never did anything, and it was very, it was very non-confrontational. But until my dog tried to play with it. No, I've run into every animal you can think of. My neighbor up there was walking her dogs one day, and she walked under a tree, and it was a deer carcass, and what was left was what's called the skull cap, which is the horns and top of the head of a buck. And walked in the tree, walked up and looked down and saw that and looked up, and the mountain lion was literally on the branch above her.
Really?
And luckily, it had just eaten and it had mountain lion cubs or kits with her, which would have been really bad if the mountain lion hadn't just ate its fill.
Right.
And so at that point, she carried a sidearm. And we learned to do that. When you walk around in wilderness, when you can legally, you carry a sidearm.
Absolutely. I wouldn't mess around
And
with
we've had wild pig up there. You name an animal, you find it outside. And we're not in the middle of a forest or a wilderness. We're just 30 miles east of Bakersfield, and it's a completely different world.
Yeah. Yeah, some guys tried to get me to go on a wild boar shoot, and then I found out that the wild boar can attack, and I was like, no, that's not happening.
Yeah,
that's not happening.
We have them up there. I actually bought a rifle just for that, and the problem is they go out. They're night feeders normally. You just don't really see them during the day.
Yeah, that was not going to happen. Not going to happen. What's the Democratic Party going to do about Graham Plattner?
Well, they got a dedeline of the 13th of July for him to drop out and be replaced. He can't go out before then because finally, of all people, Sanders finally told him to drop out today. Who is allowed? Well, there was only one other holdout who just isn't commenting. I don't remember who it was, another knucklehead. But Sanders came out forcefully and told him to quit. It's like, let me get this straight. He could be anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
He can be everything. He can be everything you can think of negative. But finally, and this is not the first allegation, but finally with proof of an allegation, because the woman had emails that she sent at the time to therapists, and a friend and boyfriend corroborated it. With actual proof, they finally went, okay, I guess we have to believe this woman. And I'm going, what happened to the Me Too movement? What happened to Trump losing an $85 million judgment based on just hearsay 20 years later? What happened to Bill Cosby and all these other guys that rightfully or wrongfully never had any actual evidence and were forced to pay the price?
Yeah. Or Al Franken.
Everybody. Al Franken, which actually I'm kind of glad of. But yeah, you name it, a whole long list of celebrities.
I wasn't a fan of Al Franken's, but for him to get booted out of Senate because he pretended to put two hands on a woman's breast in a photo was stupid. It was a high school.
That was the height of that movement when just an allegation was enough to ruin your career. And that's what happened to him.
Yeah.
But you can see the double standard there. The right is held to a different, higher standard. That even an allegation, the thing with Brett Kavanaugh, where it was proven that she couldn't have done it because her dates were wrong. There was no witness and everything else. They still talk about it.
Yep.
And you call Trump a pedophile, and there's not even an allegation. There's not even any incident you can point to. And commonly called a pedophile, for example. And the reality of it is, it took all this, 2 months of this, with an obviously flawed human being, and not even remotely a good person. And it finally came to this thing. They finally said, okay, we can't defeat this guy. He can't defeat Collins. Let's dump him now.
That's why. See, that I was just going to say, I was waiting for you to finish because I was going to say, I disagree with you. I don't think they did it for a moral reason. I don't think they did it because they believe this woman any more than they believe the first three. They did it because he's going to lose if he doesn't step aside. That's the only reason they dumped him. If the polls were 54-46 Plattner, they would have rationalized this. Well, she should be respected and she should be heard, but so should Mr. Plattner, who denies this. And this is he said, she said, and we're going to believe in our man.
Right. So, well, that's what that's been saying all along.
Yep.
That's been said for every other allegation. And the interesting part, like for his Nazi tattoo, he didn't have it done in Germany. It's illegal.
Croatia.
Croatia.
Yes.
Where you could do it because you couldn't do it where he normally was based.
Yes. And for 18 years, he had it on his chest, insisting that he had no idea what it meant.
Yeah. Well, he's a horrible person. I mean, it's not a secret. I'm not giving an opinion. I mean, there's enough proof this guy's not a good guy. Yeah,
and
you know what? And they're not going to be able to pull anybody out in time. They got about 3 months. They'll put somebody else in there. I'm thinking they might try and put Mills back in if she's willing to even run. But
I hope so, because Collins will beat her.
I don't know who they have though, unless knowing that we can't think of, they're going to pop somebody up, I guess.
Well, I'm going to read after we talk with you at the bottom of the hour. I'm going to read from the New York Post story. They've got about 4 or 5 candidates that they think that they're going to try, and there's one that they're specifically examining that they think that they can put in because they can't go with 78-year-old Janet Mills. They just can't.
Well, the irony is they're going up against a candidate who's about as non-Republican, Republican, as big a rhino as you can get, who routinely votes against Trump.
Yeah,
is known to be a holdout on almost everything he wants to do.
Yep.
Who's basically, she is the reverse opposite of Fetterman. In other words, she's a Republican in name only, while he's a Democrat in name only.
Yep.
And that's the one they're going to try and knock out.
Crazy.
And obviously it hasn't helped her to not be part of the core party. And I want her to stay in though because they can't afford to have us flip. We can't afford to have the Senate flipped.
No, we can't lose that main seat because I think we're going to lose Texas.
Right.
Ohio's looking better. Sherrod Brown had a lead, but now that's kind of a toss-up. We're We're definitely going to lose North Carolina. Roy Cooper is killing the Republican there. And Iowa is kind of a toss-up.
They have to pick up. What do they have to pick up? I think it's
4. They got to pick up 4.
Pick up 4.
Yeah.
So I think it might be a 51-49 deal. I think we probably could still hold it, but razor thin. And here's the problem: even if that happens, you've got people that are not. They're not. You got people like Rand Paul and Collins and Murkowski that are anti-Trumpers, never Trumpers, and rhinos that really don't help his agenda.
Yeah.
And so you really can't even count on them, other than things for like impeachment and stuff like that, possibly. And even then, they're not even a sure thing.
Yep, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's going to be
it's an interesting time, but I'm glad, if only for the how do we put it, the polite behavior, civil debate, and everything else we do in government, that a person like Plattner hopefully drops out.
Yeah.
There are candidates who just should not be elected. Not because it's politics, not because of their philosophy, because they're just not good people.
Yeah, it's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when. I'm surprised he hasn't done so now. I think, in fact, the only reason he hasn't made an announcement is because he wants some say in who replaces him.
Well, he's holding out for some kind of deal where they're going to reward him with to drop out, because he could be a spoiler and just stay in.
Yeah,
he has nothing to lose.
Yeah, but
I don't know. It's unfortunate. That's politics. But the Democrats never seem to have a candidate, regardless of how completely far left or unhinged or bad the candidate is. They don't care.
No, they don't.
To win, they're going to stand right behind them, march in lockstep. The Republicans generally don't do that.
Did you hear Kamala Harris reached out to Zohran Mamdani?
Oh my God! Well,
she thinks
does he have an open bar?
Because she knows. I think she thinks that's her route to the White House.
Oh,
if I can corral the Democratic, if I can corral the young Democratic socialists, maybe I can get the nomination.
Well, I look forward to that.
Yeah.
Watching the word salad on a debate stage would be fun to watch.
Oh, I would love for her to be the nominee.
Yeah,
love.
The sad part is if she goes to the AOC, they're going to get enough young people that are dumb that are going to vote purely on the basis of celebrity, not because of competence, intelligence, or the basic core tenets.
Yeah.
But because they think it's like a party thing, a TikTok candidate.
Yeah. And socialism is going to thrive for a little while.
It is, but no, you know what? Mostly in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Mostly on the far
west
coast.
Oh, it's not going to sell in the middle of the country. No.
Nebraska being asked to vote for these guys.
Exactly. Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Always good to talk to you, Howard. Have a great week. Say hi to Mary. We'll wrap to you next Tuesday.
Alrighty.
All right, man. Howard Marcus, quick timeout. Not a lot of time for you to the bottom of the hour. You're listening to the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 AM 1230. We stream live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Are you craving a mouth-watering sandwich just packed with flavor? Then look no further than Caesar's Deli, where they craft some of the best sandwiches in town. Sink your teeth into our signature classic, Caesar's Special, featuring 2 kinds of salami, premium ham, and the irresistible taste of Nona's secret meat sauce. It's a sandwich experience that you won't forget. That's not the only sandwich they offer. No. Satisfy your cravings with a savory smoked turkey sandwich, or indulge yourself with the loaded pastrami, or for the adventurous eater, they offer pickled tongue. And here's the best part. Caesar's Deli has incredible lunch specials that are designed to fill you up without emptying your wallet. Plus, did you know that Caesar's Deli has a full-service deli offering a variety of over 60 meats and cheeses? It's a sandwich lover's paradise, and that's why Caesar's Deli has been a local favorite and proudly serving Bakersfield since 1971. Visit Caesar's Deli today and taste the difference for yourself. Located at the corner of Brimhall and Callaway, behind the beautiful water fountain.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore, and every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal. Book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, it saved time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day. No one can beat us, no one can touch us. You won't find better prices. Shop and compare, we don't care. Take a look our way and come into Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Pet stains on your carpet? Carpet Outlet Plus has everything you need to make your floors pet-proof. With over 100 in-stock waterproof floors, Carpet Outlet Plus can solve your pet problems for good. We also stock over 50 colors of pet-perfect carpet. Call, click, or come by today for your free in-home estimate. Don't forget, for the do-it-yourselfer, we also offer free next-day delivery on all qualifying stock floors. And as a bonus, go to carpetoutletplus.com and apply for 12 months no-interest financing. Carpet Outlet Plus, 3.5 blocks west of 99 on Rosedale Highway.
Carpet Outlet Plus. Every day is sale day.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Coming up after the break, I'll tell you some of the names that they're floating around that's going to try to replace Graham Plattner. And then coming up at the 5, I'll tell you about what's going on with The View, but I've also got a fascinating story. A Fresno anchor got Ralphed. Totally got Ralphed.
What do you mean by that? You know what? You're going to explain this afterwards. I don't know why I ask.
You can't guess what is the most dramatic thing beyond my mother this past week? What's the most dramatic thing that's happened to me in the last 6 months?
Oh, she got scammed?
She got Ralphed.
No.
72 G's. I'll tell you the story. It's straight out of my textbook. I mean, they did exactly to me what they did to her.
That's our news. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The week-long preliminary hearing for the man accused of killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk has entered its second day. Prosecutors aim to show that they have enough evidence against Tyler Robinson to proceed to a trial. After the hearing concludes, State District Judge Tony Graff must determine if the case should proceed, which experts say is likely. 23-year-old Robinson is charged with aggravated murder in Kirk's September 10th assassination. The U.S. military has launched new strikes against Iran. The strikes began early Wednesday, hours after 3 merchant ships were struck in the Strait of Hormuz. It was the latest exchange of fire to threaten the interim deal to end the fighting between the two countries. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 130 points. The Nasdaq dropped 302. More details at srnnews.com.
You carrying more than $10,000 in credit card debt?
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN Newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. 34-year-old Tyler Boyer is still in jail, held on a $2 million bail in the shooting of 4 people in Oildale about 2 Sunday morning on Decatur Street. Kern County investigators still have not discussed publicly what motivated the shooting. One of the 4 victims is a child, and all are in the hospital. The promise that OPEC will be releasing more oil into the market and the opening of the Strait of Hormuz to oil traffic still has not caused any dramatic drops in gas prices. The average price across California for regular this afternoon is $5.31, says Gas Buddy. Least expensive in this area is at a station in Wofford Heights, selling it for $4.49. From there, it goes up to $4.89 at a station on Chester Avenue in Bakersfield. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
If you've got kids right now, what happens every summer? Well, there's no summer jobs available. And so you end up having to spend a lot of money putting your kids into something that is going to keep them active. You can't do what we did when I was growing up. It just doesn't happen anymore. And that's been the death of summer jobs and really changed society in a very negative way.
Weekdays 9 to noon, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230.
Classic movies, and it's just one of those films. It's one of those films where I caught it right when they're at the door, the classic scene at the door, where Gene Wilder says to Marty Feldman, "Help me with the bags." It's Terry Garr. So Terry Garr is his assistant, who he ends up with at the end of the film. If you haven't seen Young Frankenstein, forget it. And Madeline Kahn is his fiance who's coming to visit. So she comes, and Gene Wilder says to Marty Feldman, "Help me with the bags." And Marty Feldman says, "All right, you take the blonde and I'll take the brunette." Chuckle, chuckle, chuckle. And that's where he says, "Nice knockers." "Thank you, doctor." And he starts biting. It's a funny, funny scene. And of course, the scene where he sings "Putting on the Ritz" is Ray Romano's dad. A lot of you, I don't think, put that together. Peter Boyle, who was a great character actor in the 70s. You want to know Peter Boyle's best film? It's a Robert Redford picture called The Candidate, where he is the son of Mervyn Douglas, who is the former governor of California, and has a horrible relationship with his dad, doesn't want to have anything to do with politics. He's a carefree attorney down in Long Beach, and he went to college with Peter Boyle, who is this kingmaker, and he goes down and asks him to run for the Senate. And, it's the early 70s. He's not a hippie, but he's kind of an affluent, could have been a hippie, but he's got too much money to be a hippie, so he's trying to change the world, the environment, early 70s crap. And he says, "Why should I run?" And Boyle writes on a matchstick and hands it to him, and it says, "You lose." And he's like, "What?" And that's attractive to Redford, because at that point he says, "Then I can do whatever I want, right? If I'm going to lose, I can say whatever I want and really defend things that normal Democrats, liberal Democrats don't defend." He says, "Yeah." And to make a long story short, he starts to catch on, and that's where the hijinks begins. It's a really good film. And Boyle plays his campaign manager, but he plays Ray Romano's dad in Everybody Loves Raymond. Isn't his last name Boyle?
I believe so. Let me double check.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Peter Boyle. Hey Siri, who played Frankenstein in Young Frankenstein?
Yeah, it's Peter Boyle.
Yeah, Peter Boyle. The late Peter Boyle. Great picture, Young Frankenstein. Great picture. You forget who's in that. Kenneth Mars is in it. You forget Gene Hackman plays the blind chaplain who pours the soup on Frankenstein. It's a really good film. I love that picture. That's the first midnight movie I ever saw. I was in 8th grade. And no, I didn't come home. I was spending the night at Tempero's house. You think my parents going to let me roll in the house at 2:30 in the morning? You done lost your mind. In 8th grade, you done lost your mind. I was spending the night with Tempero. We used to hang out with seniors. George Wharton was the guy that was on my bus when he was a junior. And these guys were either juniors or seniors, and they kind of dug us, and they let us hang around with them, which was rare. 8th graders hanging out with juniors and seniors. This doesn't happen in high school. 842-5376, 842-KER. And so I want you to hear some more of Kathy Nestor. This is the defense attorney for Tyler Robinson. Just try to highlight just how this isn't even a defense. This is a preliminary hearing. So imagine what I'm just preparing you for the trial. If you're going to get all involved in this, like I know some of you are, it is going to be very frustrating for you because they have no case, obviously. So the only defense they have is to stall and, these kind of silly courtroom tactics, focusing on things that have nothing to do. We played earlier, if you're just joining us, audio of the defense attorney examining one of the cops about a gun holster that was found. Not a pistol, but a gun holster for a pistol, when anybody and everyone connected to this concedes Charlie Kirk was shot with a rifle. That much is absolutely 100,013% irrefutable. So why is she messing around with some gun holster? What the hell does that have to do with anything? And the other thing we learned today is, as we talked about a little bit earlier, that the boy was on campus prior to the shooting, intermingling with the Utah Valley State students and some of Charlie Kirk's people. Then he left campus, changed clothes. That's when they believe he came back with a rifle, because he came back with a limp. And the pictures are, when you think what he's about to do, video of him minutes before he does this, it's kind of eerie. You see him, going up the steps to where he's trying to go. You see him climbing off the roof from where he shot at the president, or shot the president. I forgot. He clipped the president. And do you remember Don Lemon? I will never, ever forget this. This is why I will never, ever respect that sellout, gay, just should not be a journalist. You remember what he said? Don Lemon claimed, this is 2 days after the shooting, that the president's ear was cut by glass from the teleprompter, that he was never shot. He went on CNN and said that, and that it was shards of glass from the teleprompter that clipped his ear. And you wonder why this guy is unemployed? And he calls himself a journalist. To be able to say that because you cooked it up in your head. I mean, this is a national level journalist. I couldn't come out, like if there was a shooting in town, can you imagine if I came on the radio and just invented what I believed what happened and said it into this microphone? And this is Don Lemon on a national level insisting that the president hadn't been shot, but it was shards of glass from the teleprompter. That I just, like, why did you go to journalism school? Why did you learn anything about the ethics of journalism if you feel that you have a license to concoct something in your little pea brain and spit it out to the nation? Just the irresponsibility is amazing. In the meantime, here is Tyler Robinson, defense attorney, Kathy Nestor.
You mentioned that as you were coming down into the grassy area from the top above the tent, you come down the Hall of Flags, you come into the grassy area. You mentioned that you heard, I guess on your radio, that they had a suspect in custody.
Yes.
And so how long do you think between the shot being fired did you hear that?
I was in, like I said, trying to get down the stairs, jumping over people, trying not to step on people as people were fighting up. Within 30 seconds maybe.
Right. So they pretty much instantly had someone in custody.
Yes, and that's why I was quite surprised.
Were you aware of where the person was taken into custody?
Right down by where Charlie Kirk was sitting by his tent, somewhere down there.
So in the courtyard area, the person would have been in the courtyard area at the time of the shooting.
Yes.
Was that person in or near or around the holster in any way?
No.
You don't know?
No, what he wasn't. Where the holster was up on the top level up there, and it was where when the incident happened, when Charlie got shot. Within seconds, the other officer that was down by him said that he was in custody with a prisoner of the shooter. So within right there.
You didn't, at that time, it was your understanding the person they took into custody was close by Mr. Kirk. Is that right?
Yep.
But it didn't occur to you that, well, that's not where I heard the shot come from. They must have the wrong person. I should talk to somebody.
During the chaos moment, no. They said they had a person in custody. I figured those guys saw something I didn't see. They took the person in custody, and I thought that was him.
Okay.
Yeah. See, she's going nowhere. It's a circular argument focused around this holster that's got nothing to do with nothing. And let's remember what you're going to hear during this trial. Let's remember that there were people that saw this kid before he was on the roof. They told local law enforcement, hey, there's some guy climbing on the roof. And then they showed the video of today of him climbing down off of the roof. I mean, this is an open and shut case that's going to take forever. Because I just wanted to highlight you and get you ready for this trial and to prepare, because this is a preliminary hearing. And she's stretching out a damn preliminary hearing as if there's some question or debate whether this is going to trial. You know what I'm saying? I mean, at some point, I think you would be better off just saying, we waive our rights for preliminary hearing. Let's just get to trial. Let's just go to trial. And I don't know if you can do that or not. We'll talk about that maybe tomorrow with Clayton Campbell, and certainly next week when Teresa Golden returns from her long vacation. But who on the planet thinks this isn't going to trial? It's just stupid. And she's focusing on this gun holster. Like what? And where he was and what? And of course they caught the guy immediately. They knew where the shot was from. He had to climb down off of a doggone roof. Have you noticed that this place has become the dog walking park for the hotel across the street?
You know, I was wondering what was going on right here, but
that's the only thing I can guess. That's about the third person I've seen walking a dog in our complex. And the only thing I can guess is that we work right, well, we've always worked right across the street from a hotel, but not a hotel where people would walk their dog. We next door to the Motel 6 with the folks that have pit bulls that don't walk their dogs. They keep in the parking lot. But now we're across the street from the Hampton Inn, which is a really nice hotel. Didn't JR? Yeah, JR stayed there for a couple days.
For a couple days, yeah.
Yeah, he says it's kind of nice. They've got a pool and everything. And so we see these people walking through our vast complex that most of you have never even seen or heard of. All of my Uber drivers are like, I never knew this existed. It's a great complex. It's really clean. Got about 150 businesses here. We take up about 3 suites because management doesn't want to have anything to do with the employees. They don't want you going into the corporate office. They don't want you are to be spoken to and seen when addressed by management. Otherwise, stay out of that office, Jack. Which is fine. Okay. Don't want to see me. I don't want to see y'all either. Don't care. I'll see you at the Christmas party in February. Quick time out. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Tuesday. You got to hang in for my story of the Fresno anchor who got Ralphed. He only got like almost $4,000 for me. They wait till you hear the amount of money they took from this woman with the same script they used on me. It's amazing. It really is. And we'll tell you why ABC and The View is in a feud with the FCC about equal time. And we'll talk a little sports. The Dodgers are on a roll. The Colorado Rockies are in town, which means a lot of runs are going to be scored. And we got an issue. The only good news is, what's our New York Met, Diaz?
Oh, yes, the closer.
He's about to start rehab. That's the only good news, because Tanner Scott is starting to go the Kenley Jansen route. He blew a 6-3 lead in the ninth. And what do you think started the rally? What's the pitcher's worst nightmare, particularly a reliever? How'd the rally start?
Walk.
Absolutely. A 4-pitch walk. Tanner, that can't happen. That cannot happen. 6-3, I'd rather you pipe it right down the middle and let him hit a solo home run than walk the guy and start a rally, which is exactly what happened. We had to win it in the 10th. Quick timeout, coming right back. It's TRBS. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on Newstalk 96.1 AM 1230, and we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio.
Luigi's.
AM 1230, KERN. First Look with Scott Cox, morning 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vip Dev. He didn't have to stitch up any blown-off fingers after the 4th of July. He's probably pretty happy about that. We've got John Cox from the Californian with the news quiz. We've got news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. Right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
Next time you go to Luigi's, you must, and I mean you must, begin in the deli. What started as a situation where Gino's grandfather or great-grandfather just wanted to feed fellow Italians in the neighborhood, and then became a little grocery store. And now Lynette Valprado has come back years ago and has just absolutely transformed the deli. As I talk about, she's one of the best sommeliers you'll ever run into. Her specialty is Italian wines. Go in there, check out the merch. If you're a foodie, the deli is a place for you. Use all of the Luigi seasonings that I use in my own home. Then maybe go have a cocktail with Julie in the bar, head outside. With this kind of weather, you might want to stay inside with Liz and all the other incredible staffers at Luigi's Restaurant and Old World Delicatessen. But that's the way to start, in the deli. A little Prosecco, maybe a little Italian wine, a little merge. I'm just telling you. And if you're a foodie, it's the place for you. Where would you rather be than Luigi's Restaurant and Old World Delicatessen, longtime sponsor of the Ralph Bailey Show?
On BritBox, there is a place where stories twist like cobblestone roads, grand manners hide secrets, and stakes are higher than seaside cliffs. Find places worth getting lost in on BritBox. Watch a new series like The Other Bennett Sister from the world of Jane Austen and A Woman of Substance starring Golden Globe winner Brenda Blethyn. If you want to get away, you're in the right place. Stream the best of British TV on BritBox. Free trial at BritBox.com.
I move mountains for a living. Literally. That means I don't carry hand lotion, and when it comes to serious heartburn, I don't mess around with anything but Rolaids Max Strength. Its dual-active formula has 1,500 milligrams of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide that relieves heartburn fast. And the best part? The roll fits right here in my pocket, so I can get back to moving mountains.
Rolaids spells powerful relief. 1,500 milligrams is our highest amount of antacid per tablet. Read each label. This is directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Most people don't want more financial information. They want clarity. They want to know they're making the right moves and that someone's actually paying attention. That's what we do at MoneyWise. We help you organize your financial life, plan for what's ahead, and make decisions with confidence, whether retirement is around the corner or still years away. And now you'll find us in a new place, the historic Woolworths building, right in the heart of downtown Bakersfield. A piece of local history reimagined for what's next. MoneyWise, thoughtful planning, real conversations. Visit MoneyWiseGuys.com to get started.
Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through LPL Financial. LPL Financial and Moneywise Wealth Management are independently owned and operated.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Oh, Rudy. Oh, I got a girl named Sue.
We got some breaking news. There's been another ICE shooting. This one out of Houston. I'm reading from the Washington Post. An immigration and customs enforcement officer fatally shot a Mexican immigrant in Houston on Tuesday during an attempted traffic stop arrest, federal authorities said. ICE identified the man as Lorenzo Salgado Arroyo and said he was in the United States illegally and refused to comply with officers during an enforcement operation. Quote, from information we are receiving, he rammed an ICE law enforcement vehicle, refused to follow multiple verbal commands, and weaponized his vehicle in an attempt to run over an ICE law enforcement officer, resulting in our officer firing his weapon in self-defense. ICE stated that, quote, emergency services were immediately contacted and that Salgado Arroyo died from his injuries at an area hospital. The incident appears to be the first fatal shooting involving federal immigration agents since U.S. citizens Renee Good and Alex Preddy were killed in separate incidents in Minneapolis in January during an enforcement surge in that city. Those killings sparked blah, 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 blah. ICE's account of Salgado Arroyo's killing echoed many of the statements the agency quickly issued in other shootings that resulted in fatalities or injuries to undocumented immigrants and U.S. citizens. In several instances, however, video evidence and testimony from witnesses contradicted the agency's initial accounts, establishing that the officers were not in danger and, in some cases, acted as the aggressors. Oh, Lord. Here we go again. Here we go again. Because I'm sorry, I know you disagree with me, and you probably don't want to hear this, but I did not think. I went back and forth with this. I first thought that Renee Good was at fault, and I think she did play a role in that. You shouldn't be messing around with these cops. You shouldn't be following them around and trying to cause mayhem. But she was shot in the side of the head. You know, you can say that she tried to run the guy over, which I don't believe, although she did drive toward him. But she was shot in the temple. She was not shot in the forehead, meaning that he killed her as she was passing by. She did not have to die. And I think the same thing is true for Alex Preddy, particularly when we found out later that Preddy had been involved in an incident with ICE agents and was armed and nothing happened. And in fact, the first incident involving Alex Preddy, if you remember correctly, and even a guy whose brain is laden with THC remembers that in the first incident, Preddy kicked out the brake light on the ICE agent vehicle. In other words, he committed a crime and they just drove off. And in his fatal shooting, the day that he died, he was simply, at least in my opinion, based on the video that I saw, was merely coming to the aid of another woman. And if you're implying that I condone what these people are doing, that it's a really good idea to get in law enforcement's way, that's not what I'm saying. But I am saying, I don't think, and I'd be willing to bet all $98 in my bank account right now, that it's the same thing with this guy. That these ICE agents, at least in my opinion, I know you don't agree with me, are just taking this to another level way too quickly. These people did not have to die, none of them. Now, I don't know about this situation today down in Houston, but I don't think Renee had to die. I don't think Alex Preddy had to die. I really don't. And the fact that she was shot as she was passing by is proof of that. And the fact that Preddy had a gun on him had nothing to do with why they shot him. There was some claim that he was reaching for the gun. I don't buy that. I just think that to kill another man, he's got to be going for a weapon or pointing a weapon at you. Now, again, yes, I realize a 2-ton machine is a weapon. Do you honestly believe that Renee Good was trying to run that man over, was trying to hurt that man, trying to kill that man? She's trying to get out of there, and she did it irresponsibly. That's why I say she still plays some role in what happened to her. But that woman should not be dead. Neither should Alex Preddy. And I'd be willing to bet that we're going to see, that he probably got lippy, and he probably has a record. But should we be shooting people in the streets? Maybe. I don't know. I just don't think so. You got anything left on the board if we get into the 5?
I got a caller for you real quick.
Who you got?
Chris is on the line.
Chris, what's really going on? Chris?
Hey, Ralph.
Yes, Chris.
I am a lifelong friend. I remember you back when I used to run into you at Mr. Tibbs.
At Mr. Tibbs?
Yes, sir.
I think you're mistaken. I've eaten Mr. Tibbs' ribs, but I've never been there.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it at that. But hey, like I said, I'm a lifelong friend. I've been listening to you for a very long time.
Well, I appreciate it.
I'm currently, I've been a truck driver for 48 years.
Oh, wow.
I'm listening to you on TuneIn Radio all the way up here, about 10 miles from the Canadian border.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Where are you headed?
I'm going to pick up some stuff and be heading back down to Long Beach, California tomorrow morning.
Wow. That's a trek.
Yes, sir.
Well, be safe, man.
I just wanted to touch base with you and say, hey, it'd be a pleasure to meet you and buy you some dinner when I get in, if that could ever come to pass. But listen, it's a pleasure. I love listening to your program.
Well, thank you.
Keep it on, sir.
I appreciate that. Give us a call next time you're in town.
Yes, sir. Will do.
All right. Take care, man. I should have lied. Oh, yeah. I remember that time with Mr. Tibbs. I've never been there.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN, 96.1 FM, K241CI Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The U.S. has struck Iran after 3 merchant ships were hit in the Strait of Hormuz.
The U.S. military has launched a series of strikes against Iranian targets after 3 merchant ships were struck in the waters of Oman. In a statement posted to social media, U.S. Central Command says American forces launched the strikes to impose heavy costs for targeting and attacking commercial shipping crewed by innocent civilians in an international waterway, and says that Iran's demonstrated aggression was unwarranted, dangerous, and a clear violation of the ceasefire. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
A growing number of Democratic senators are now urging Graham Plattner to drop out of the Senate race in Maine after new troubling allegations surface. Correspondent Laura Winters reports.
The list of senators growing longer and longer. Democrats calling on Graham Plattner to leave the race in Maine. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, along with New York's Kirsten Gillibrand, Mark Kelly of Arizona, Alyssa Slotkin from Michigan, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, and DNC Chair Ken Martin, among those urging Plattner to step aside. Independent Bernie Sanders also saying he needs to go. This, as an ex-girlfriend alleges he broke into her house almost 5 years ago and sexually assaulted her. Plattner denies it. Laura Winters reporting.
President Trump is rolling back a major restriction on Turkey.
President Trump says the United States is lifting sanctions on Turkey, reversing restrictions that have been in place since 2020. The sanctions were imposed after Turkey purchased a Russian missile defense system, leading to its removal from the F-35 fighter jet program. The move could pave the way for expanded defense cooperation between Washington and Ankara. Willie Nelson, the White House.
On Wall Street, the Dow down by 130 points, the S&P 500 lower by 33. More at townhall.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling.
I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-2341. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-2341. That's 800-575-2341. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
AI stocks again way down the market.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.
4 people shot, 1 man under arrest. I'm Chris Davis. But for now, the Kern County Sheriff's Office is still not saying exactly what went down or how it went down early Sunday morning on Decatur Street in Oildale, only discussing the results. And the result is that all 4 people, including a child, are in the hospital, victims of gunshots fired by, according to deputies, 34-year-old Tyler Boyer, who they say was locked up Sunday afternoon about 5 and is still on jail on a $2 million bail. They have not said what led them to arrest Boyer, but indications are that all 4 victims are all expected to survive. Dealing drugs from a motel room is a risky prospect for parolees, but Kern County probation officers believe they caught 3 people, 2 of them probationers, with the goods in a room at the Vagabond Inn on Knudsen Drive. Kyle Gregory and Eloy Browning are the ones on probation, and a third person, Courtney Harris, was also there and was also arrested when those officers say they found 2 pounds of fentanyl, stolen copper wire, and other evidence that the room was being used to push the drugs. When things spill into a busy highway, the chaos can be multiplied exponentially, and that happened Monday afternoon on Highway 58 in Bakersfield with a wreck that involved a jackknife semi-truck and at least 4 other vehicles, according to the Highway Patrol. It happened just west of Union Avenue, just after 3:30, and the debris came from the semi-truck. The promise that OPEC will be releasing more oil into the market and the opening of the Strait of Hormuz to oil traffic still has not caused dramatic drops in gas prices. The average across California for regular this afternoon is $5.31, says Gas Buddy. The least expensive in the area is still at a station in Wofford Heights, selling it for $4.49. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
To the rest well in a month from now, Hollywood Big Shot's going to give you what you want. That's shooting in the week. I'm going to make him an offer again with you.
Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230. KERN.
And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on this Tuesday, 7th day of July. This is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, where we're streaming live at kernradio.com. Why is Angelo Frazier texting me in the midst of a radio broadcast?
That is a great question.
He has sent me back some sort of press release. That's what it's about. Bring kids back, 20,000 teddy bears. I know I shouldn't do it, but I do it every time his name comes up. And not because it's funny, because it's not. It was tragic, but it is a uncommon story, the story of the death of Mr. Tibbs. And I don't know if I call it friends, but I am acquaintances with his widow and his daughter, his beautiful daughter, Tracy. She was married by the time I met her. Not that she'd ever dated me, but nevertheless. But I was the news director at Clear Channel Radio at the time. I was doing news for the 5 different stations, which I've talked about. It was actually a fun job, actually, other than the fact that it was 5 to 9, which was just, and I had just come off doing a morning show from 5 to 9. It was just, it was the worst. I don't know how Maddie Jansen and Alex did it for as long as they did it, how these young kids, Anthony and the other young girl, they're in their young, they can get 3 hours sleep and still be fine. But the older you get, you just can't do it. And so I was the news director at Clear Channel. And why it was fun was just as we have, it's called a cluster. American General Media, or a company that owns a cluster of stations. In other words, they don't just own one, they own 5. We have kind of a Taylor Swift station, we have a Spanish station, we have 2 hip-hop stations, and a news station. And Clear Channel was the same. Clear Channel had a news station, had a rock station, a B-Rock, had kind of a soccer mom, Taylor Swift station, and that's about it. And so I had to tailor the news for each genre of music. And one morning we got the story of a group, it might have happened on the weekend, but what happened was Mr. Tibbs was a fisherman and he owned a boat. And he and 2 buddies who did not swim. Like, how you go on a boat? I wouldn't go on a cruise, like a big Queen Mary size boat, if I didn't know how to swim. A life preserver will keep your head above water, but if you see something coming at you and you don't know how to swim, I would never go out. It's like going into the woods without a rifle. You just heard Howard. You don't go wandering around 30 minutes from Bakersfield in the wilderness without a gun. You're going to encounter something. Well, something could go wrong with the boat, as it did on this tragic day for Mr. Tibbs. And he apparently was on the perch, the captain's perch, which is above, and the other guys were down, and it was a foggy day, and they don't know whether that was the cause of his death because they couldn't find him, but a whale breached and hit the back of the boat and literally catapulted Mr. Tibbs out of the boat. And I don't think to this day they know whether he died on impact, because water is like concrete if you're far enough away from it, and you get tossed that violently and land on your head on the water or something like that, or they don't know, he drowned. And the only thing that made it fascinating to me, and I'm sorry, I'm a journalist, and tragedies are compelling, they're fascinating. I mean, to hear. And I got to hear the 911 call of the guys on the boat. And they didn't know how to swim, and the boat was sinking. And these guys were panicked. Where's Tibbs? Tibbs is gone. We don't know what to do. They're like, calm down, sir. No, we don't know how to swim. We got life. Get the life jackets on, sir. Where's the life jacket, man? Get the life jacket. Where's the life jacket? And to hear 2 grown-ass men sound like 8-year-olds fearing for their lives was one of the most just eerie, crazy things. And it's just, and it really was. He had a great restaurant. Like I said, I've never eaten there, but I've been at places where they catered. And I knew his wife, or I know his wife, Patty. I haven't talked to him in a long time. I know his wife, Tracy. But it was just a weird story. He's a really nice man. I met him a couple of times at events. And the little ribettes. Oh, is that even still open? I don't think so. That's a dumb question. Mr. Tibbs' Rib's not open still. But yeah, great food. He really did. That was a great rib joint. 842-5376, 842-KERN. So let me tell you, I'm not going to get back to maybe we'll have time to get back, but I want to tell this story of this Fresno anchor who got ralphed. If you don't know what I'm alluding to, about, how long has it been, Chris? A couple of months?
A couple months.
I was contacted by Chase, allegedly, by a text message that claimed that there was a fraudulent charge on my account. So they called me after they sent the text message. Now, the text message is confusing because they really do send text messages. But the thing that I learned when I got Ralphed was the bank never calls you. The bank will never call you. They will contact you via text messages. They will give you a number for you to call them, but they will never call you. So they called me and they claimed that there were 3 charges on my account that amounted to about $3,900, and they wanted to help me get rid of it. And they even transferred me to the fraudulent department. And after getting the text message and being transferred, and I'll be blunt with you, and maybe this is racist, I should have suspected something when they were both brothers. Now, that may be a racist statement because every time that I've ever talked to Chase, it's always somebody out of the country, and it's normally somebody with an accent. I've been a Chase client for 25, it's the only bank that's not true. I started at Wells Fargo, and then I went to Chase. But for most of the 30 years, 32 years I've been up here, I've been a Chase guy, and I've never heard 2 brothers, as the people on the phone, customer service people. Never. That should have been my first clue. But it wasn't, and they basically talked me into giving them about $4,000 straight out of my account. So I can't lie, kind of made me feel better when I read this story of this young woman in Fresno. I'm just going to read you the story because it's a bit complicated, but it's straight out of my story. A veteran journalist, somewhat like Ralph Bailey, who spent 22 years of her career anchoring news, became the center of a scam story herself after she was swindled out of a whopping $72,000. You see how it made me feel good? I'm just shitsy. I just had 39 grand, 3,900, let alone 39 grand. She had 72 G's taken. I feel dumb that I should have been smarter about it. Did I not say that? That's exactly how I felt. I felt like the biggest chump in the freaking world. I am in a very vulnerable place, said longtime KSEE 24 news anchor Alex Delgado. This is a woman, according to a report from your Central Valley. Delgado received, now listen to this is exactly what happened to me. Delgado received a dubious text claiming to be from the stock trading app Robinhood back in March. The message said her account had recorded some suspicious activity and asked her to call a number to report the incident. Delgado didn't think much of it as she was preparing for a trip and made the call to the number mentioned, which turned out to be the biggest mistake of her life. Quote, they said, not a problem. Let me transfer you to the fraud department. So it was very legit. It sounded very legit. That's exactly what they did to me. That is exactly what they did to me. The fake representative on the call told her that her investment account was at risk as someone sitting in Asia using an Android phone was trying to gain access. We need to move that money into a different account while we conduct our investigation, the alleged fraudster told her. Now, this is where it gets a little separate from my story. Over the next 2 days, Delgado said the scammer guided her step by step to move the money over the phone. That's what happened to me. There were moments when she tried to get off the call, but the crook kept her hooked. By the time she realized that thousands of dollars were wiped clean of her account, quote, it was too late. Quote, if it can happen to me, and I'm familiar with these, I covered it for the news. I hear about it all the time. It can happen to anyone. She tried to contact a legitimate Robinhood through their app, but there was nothing they could do. Delgado has reported the fraud to multiple institutions. There is no sign of her money coming back anytime soon. Unfortunately, don't trust anybody except your mother, warned Delgado. Fresno Police Detective Timothy Johnson advises people to watch out for red flags in initial interactions, such as a manufactured sense of urgency or a caller refusing to end the conversation. Things are looking more and more official when it comes to email and text messages that look legitimately coming from financial institutions or private businesses. See, that's what got me. It wasn't the 2 brothers on the phone call. It was the Chase text message, which was identical to Chase text messages that I received. You know, I get all kind of Chase messages offering me this or that, or I don't know, or, did you do this? But I didn't get wiped out for 72 grand. Now that would break my heart. And I was sick for like a day or two until they finally, luckily mine was through a bank, through a credible bank. And you can remember, Chris will tell you this, I did not think I was going to get my money back. I thought, because, I don't know, I gave it to them, that they were not going to refund my money, but they did. I got every nickel back. And see what I did there, nickel back. And so it was just a lesson learned for me, but she lost her 72 grand and has nowhere to turn. And the Robinhood app basically told her, you're out of luck. That's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy. And it goes to show you what anchors in Fresno make. That's a pretty good market. She's got 72 grand stuffed away. That's not even her retirement account or anything. That's just her savings in some app that she got into. And why are you getting to a Robinhood app? Well, why are you doing that in the first place?
Robinhood was something that came out a couple years ago that just helps you like invest your money into other stocks and stuff. So maybe she just caught onto it early and went that round. But
stupid. There's only one way to go. Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors, 395-9400, 395-9400. And his office is right on the corner of 21st and Oak. And as I've told you, one of the proudest things that I have done, seriously, I'm serious about this. I've turned on about 2 or 3 colleagues here to Daniel, and they could not be happier, particularly Lisa. Her husband just retired, and Daniel has done wonders for them. They are living in the tall cotton, as they say down south. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Mr. Burdick is on the phone. Let's see if he's got a caller. You got somebody? Or should we go to break? I think we're going to break. We going to break, or you got somebody? Apparently not. Quick timeout. Coming right back. We still got lots to do. Bottom of the hour, we'll recap our top story. Talk a little sports. Get you caught up on Wimbledon. I didn't even tell you the 4 Dodgers that got into the All-Star game. Not that it's a, mystery, but talk about that. They go up against the Colorado Rockies tonight. And I believe it is, I'm not even going to speculate. I think it's Roki, but I'm not even going to speculate. I'll tell you who's pitching when we come back. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Tuesday, right here on News Talk 96.1, AM 1230. And we stream live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk.
You want to do adaptive?
Yeah.
In the morning, good till the last mic drop.
A educational
Are
conversation
they here tomorrow?
between J.D. Vance and
Are they
Bill
here
Maher.
tomorrow?
This is the opportunity. This is the door that's been
They're
opened.
not?
You got 13 members now of the
then
Democrat
all
Party
stops.
saying, hey,
I think we had them last week.
No, they were gone last week. They were in Nashville last week, remember?
No. They came back from Nashville.
Oh, that's right. They're going to New York.
6.1
They're in
and
New York.
AM 1230, KERN.
The tutoring session from Jennifer and Ryan Van Alstyne continue. They are the owners of Adaptive Networks that provide all of our IT services. And why did we turn to the folks right across the street from us? Because of their customer service, their reliability, and their flat-out competence. We have been struggling with our IT for years. If you're a business owner, you should be listening to these segments that we do on Wednesdays with Van Alstyne's, because one of the segments focuses on what you should be looking for and some of the red flags that you should be seeing as well when dealing with your IT. If you've got an IT company that's coming out time after time after time and just going over the same problems over and over again, then I suggest you pick up the phone and call the folks at Adaptive Networks today. 661-241-0638. That's 661-241-0638. Join American General Media in teaming up with the best IT team in Kern County, and that's the good folks at Adaptive Networks. Again, their number is 661-241-0638, or hit them online at adaptive-net.com.
Looking to refresh your home or business with a clean, professional new look? Trust the experienced team at Howling Painting. Family owned and operated in Kern County since 1978, Howling Painting has built a reputation for quality workmanship, dependable service, and attention to detail. From residential to commercial projects, interior or exterior painting, their team is committed to delivering beautiful results at competitive prices. Named Best of Bakersfield's Best Painting Company in both 2025 and 2026, Howling Painting takes pride in making sure every customer is completely satisfied before the job is done. And with a fully licensed and insured team, you can feel confident knowing your property is in trusted hands. Call Howling Painting today at 872-0988, at 872-0988, or visit howlingpainting.com to schedule your free, no obligation consultation. Howling Painting, quality you can see, service you can trust.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Dr. Roland Rodriguez.
Hello, this is Bakersfield General Surgeon Dr. Roland Rodriguez, client and friend of Mr. Paul Sheldon. It is my great pleasure and privilege to relate to all of you my absolute exemplary experience with Team Paul Sheldon. I have also referred a number of my colleagues to Paul Sheldon's office, only to receive the most stellar feedback from my doctor friends regarding the office's expert navigation through the complex maze that is Medicare. And even though Paul Sheldon himself is now facing some temporary health challenges, his longstanding and most experienced and expertly trained team of ladies, Christine, Kelly, and Lynn, continue to masterfully guide the clients through the complicated world of Medicare. You most definitely could not possibly do any better than to reach out to Paul Sheldon several months before turning 65. Thank you.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
Hey folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to the Ralph Bailey Show right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230 KER.
KERN. I was going somewhere with something and I totally blacked out. I wonder what picture they're going to show for the YouTube tonight. Will they catch me? Because they catch me in the weird. Did you see me? You ever watch the YouTube? You never watch the YouTube.
I go back sometimes.
I don't even know why I'm asking you. But there was one I had, the club that Randy gave me, and I was swinging it, and it caught me. Because on the YouTube, you'll see they take a random clip and freeze it and use it as the photograph to identify the Ralph Bailey Show. And I had this club in my hand like this, so it was extending from my waist, and it looked like I was trying to be funny, like, look at me, I'm gifted. So I was just wondering, are they going to catch me? Because I was turning the corner. These ladies in these offices clocked me. Did you know that? They absolutely clocked me. I was coming around the corner on my last half-hour walk, and one of the ladies stuck her face out the door, and she goes, "Did you change clothes?" And I said, "Excuse me?" "Oh, well, yeah, I changed shirts. I had a long-sleeve shirt on." I was like, "Do you guys clock me?" And she was like, "Don't flatter yourself." She didn't say this. She didn't say, "Don't flatter yourself." But she was like, "You walk right by our window every 30 minutes. We just noticed that you had on a white shirt and now you have a black shirt on." I said, "Yeah, well, you should have noticed that it was also long sleeve and really heavy." And so I put on a t-shirt. Yes, I got. And then the other day, Spidey's, you don't remember Spidey. I remember Spidey. He wanted to beat the crap out of Spidey. Anyway, his ex-girlfriend, not JR, Spidey's, her mother works over there on the other side of the the building. And she stopped me one day and she said, I've noticed every time you walk, you have a wire coming out of your stomach. And I was like, what? Oh, I said, it's a microphone. I said, we broadcast on YouTube now, and I have to wear a microphone. Unfortunately for me, earlier this week, I got caught on a hot mic cursing out my worthless sister. That was, I'm afraid to even go look. Have you looked back at that? I'm afraid to go look back at it. And I'm glad I brought it up, so now everybody's going to go back and look at it. But I was crossing the street while I was on my walk, and Jay Reed was coming out of Lisa's office, and he was like, dude, who are you cursing out during the break? I was like, what are you talking about? So I was in Lisa's office, and she had the YouTube up, and you were going at it with somebody. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Some familial drama. What do you do when you hate members of your family? I really don't like my sister. That's a horrible thing to say out loud, but it's even worse to live with and to think. And I try to give her the benefit of the doubt. You know what I told you yesterday? If I told that on the air, she just doesn't seem like she cares about our family. You know what I mean? And I don't know whether that's, my sister was adopted, older of my two sisters. My late sister, because my parents were told after they had me that my mother wasn't going to have any more children. So 4 years later, they adopted Patrice. And then 6 years later, 10 years after I was born, Bettina was the miracle baby. My mother gets pregnant at, like, she was, if I'm 10 years younger, I was 10. So my mother was like 32 years old when she got pregnant with Bettina. So I don't know whether it's because she's adopted, but she treated my nephew horribly. Not her children, her sister's children, my nephew Thaddeus. And just the way she's handling this thing with my mother is just infuriating me. She's right there and I'm up here. And the good news is I've started my tasks of stuff. So I'm going to get my license within a couple of weeks because I have to be able to get to Los Angeles on a moment's notice. Quick timeout. Final half hour of the broadcast on this Tuesday. Tomorrow's Wednesday. The folks from Bakersfield College will join us, as well as our good friend, attorney, and overall good egg, despite being a Cardinal fan, Clayton Campbell. But in the meantime, this is the Ralph Bailey Show, and I would stick around if I you.
SRN News. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The U.S. military has launched new strikes against Iran. The strikes began early Wednesday hours after 3 merchant ships were struck in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. officials say the strikes hit a variety of military sites and port facilities. It was the latest exchange of fire to threaten the interim deal to end the fighting between the two countries. The week-long preliminary hearing of the man accused of killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk entered its second day. Prosecutors aim to show that they have enough evidence against Tyler Robinson to proceed to a trial. After the hearing concludes, State District Judge Tony Graff must determine if the case should proceed, which experts say is likely. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 130 points, the S&P 500 lower by 33. More details at srnnews.com.
Are you carrying more than $10,000 in credit card debt?
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Headlines from the KERN newsroom.
I'm Chris Davis. The man arrested and charged in the shooting of 4 people early Sunday morning on Decatur Street in Oildale has been ID'd by the Kern County Sheriff's Office as 34-year-old Tyler Boyer. Deputies have not specified what led to his arrest, and they are not talking much about the motive for the shooting. Dealing drugs from a motel room, a risky prospect for parolees, but Kern County probation officers believe they caught 3 people, 2 of them probationers, with the goods in a motel room at Vagabond Inn on Knutson Drive. Kyle Gregory and Eloy Browning are the ones on probation, and a third person, Courtney Harris, was also there and was also arrested when those officers say they found 2 pounds of fentanyl, stolen copper wire, and other evidence that the room was being used to push the drugs. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You push yourself in everything you do, scanning headlines for insights, keeping an eye on the market. Robinhood puts you in control of your money, all on one platform. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move.
Lots of places can expose you to identity theft.
Oh no.
That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity, which is way more than anyone can do on their own. If we find anything suspicious, like new loans or changes to your financial accounts, we alert you right away, all through text, phone, email, or the LifeLock app. Get the alerts that could make all the difference. Save up to 30% with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
First Look with Scott Cox, mornings 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, we'll talk a little medicine with our friend Dr. Vip Dev. He didn't have to stitch up any blown off fingers after the 4th of July. He's probably pretty happy about that. We've got John Cox from the Californian with the news quiz. We've got news, traffic, and weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. Right here at News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Hey, it's JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, starting at 1 p.m. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News.
I just almost showed my ass to a young woman because my phone was in my back pocket and I was walking and I damn near, I did show a little plumber's crack. I'm not wearing a belt. I don't know why I'm not wearing a belt. And my pants are hanging off my behind and I'm trying to pull them up. And I used to have a belly that would hold my pants up, but there's no belly there anymore. I don't even know if I can walk to Coconut Joe's without, getting arrested for lewd, not lascivious, but lewd conduct, showing yourself off. A buddy of mine got arrested once for going to the bathroom out in public. Absolutely did. Spent like 6 hours in jail downtown LA, pissing on it. And he tried to be, and the reason they arrested him, if he had gone around the corner like in an alley, but he thought it'd be funny to piss on a hydrant. And a motorcycle cop pulled right up to where, and we're just standing there like, dude, why are you doing this? Just go down. And there was an alley right there. There was an alley right where we were standing. And we were telling him, just go in the alley. Don't piss on the sidewalk. And, we obviously had several. Okay, we had more than several. And he thought it'd be funny. And I got to tell Burdick this when he gets off the phone. This is funny. I thought it was funny. It was the only funny part about it. Put him on hold for a second. You know what he did when he pissed on the hydrant?
What's that now?
He did it with one leg.
Yeah, well, that was going to be my next question. Did he lift his leg?
Yeah, he totally did. He totally did, which was pretty impressive, actually. To stand on one leg and urinate, I guess. It depends on what you find humorous. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Who you got? That was a long conversation.
Jerry's on the line.
Jerry, what's really going on? Hello?
Sorry, that one was on me. Jerry's now on the line.
Hello, Jerry.
Hi,
Hi, how you doing?
Doing well, Jerry. How are you?
Good. Better. Hey, I don't know if I told you this in the last, 20 years you've been on the air, but that song "Good Vibrations," you know that sound when he's going.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's called a theremin. And
A what?
Theremin. THERIMIN. Theremin.
Theremin.
Yeah, and it's the same one they use for My Favorite Martians when they used to move stuff across the room. Yeah.
I loved My Favorite Martian.
Yeah, that was a great show.
It was Ray Walston and Bill Bixby. Great show in the late 60s.
Anyway, when I was tutoring at UCLA, during the 70s, the teacher who taught the history of jazz, his name was Paul Tanner, and you can look him up too. And he basically taught the history of jazz. It was a really popular course. And anyway, that he was the one that invented that. He used to play with the Glenn Miller Orchestra.
Wow.
He was a trombone player.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because there's even a version of him doing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" with that theremin.
Is that right?
It's really corny. It's really hokey, but
that's funny.
He was a great teacher. So when I was working with the athletic department, Terry Donahue and all those guys, Larry Farmer, basically I'd have a big room full of guys, and like Wendell Tyler and Manu Tuiasosopo and Kenny Easley and Rick Bayshore, Rick Newhouse, and I was the jazz tutor, and I'd stand in front of the room and I'd say, okay, there's three kinds of jazz. There's bop, cool, and funky. And then they'd repeat bop, cool, funky. It was kind of fun.
Were you there in the 80s?
No, I left. I was there from 72 to about 78.
Okay, so you remember, do you remember a big defensive lineman they had, a guy named Don something?
Yeah, there was a real friendly guy. Yeah.
Yes, what was his name?
I can't think of his name, but there was a Don Smart maybe, but
no. If you said it, I will know it.
I knew a friendly guy. They were all really cool. They were very cool. Everybody.
I met him at a frat party, and the thing he was a really nice guy.
Yeah.
And he literally told me he didn't know how to read.
Yeah.
And it broke my heart. It absolutely broke my heart. Ruined my buzz. And I was like, you're joking. We were sitting around a keg, and I had a can. I said, well, read the can. It says we were arguing about what's in beer or something. And I grabbed the can, and he said, I can't read that.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, there was a few guys like that, like Wendell Tyler, he was, he wasn't, but he tried, it's like you give him what you can give him. You talk to him. I used to teach him study skills, reading. I mean, I did everything. I worked for, it was called the Academic Advancement Program. And we had kids that came through there out of East LA, like Montebello, and I taught them, basic study skills and how to take notes. And it was, a lot of these guys ended up being lawyers. One guy, Richard Rojo, he came back recruiting Latinos for Hastings Law School. And then I worked with Sheldon Curry, who used to play Curry. He became like one of the city managers of Inglewood.
Wow.
And a lot of very successful guys. Richard Basio, he's in Alhambra. He's one of the, and one guy's the DA, which is always convenient to, have an old student that's a DA in LA,
Nate Holtman is a UCLA guy?
Well, who's that?
Nate Holtman, the current DA?
No, this is probably just, this was Richard Rojo, ROJO. I don't know if he's still working for him, but he started off in, they had a freshman summer program, and what they did was I was their first teacher at UCLA, and I taught a course in, it was during the summer, so it was kind of like a bridge, like summer school.
Right.
But I got to give the grades as a TA, and he came around and said, yeah, that's Jerry. He gave me my first day at UCLA, and but I mean, they earned it. You know, they were all hard work, but they never would have had that chance. You know, all the people that are down on affirmative action and all this. You know, I had guys that I tutored that went further than me, but I didn't complain about it. I knew that I had more opportunity.
Right.
You know, so I didn't get into American history, but I ended up getting into Latin American history and did my graduate work. But there's no point in being bitter like these guys. Remember Michael Savage? I haven't heard from him for a while. But
Oh yeah.
very, very bitter about that. And you know what? Sometimes, you know, the playing field was definitely not level.
Yeah, no kidding.
And so it's good that they did that. A lot of people would disagree, but I'm telling you, these kids had an opportunity and they took advantage. And I've got Larry Farmer ran into my dad on a plane, and my dad said, "Yeah, my son." Tutor, remember Larry Farmer?
Oh, I do remember Larry Farmer. He's part of the basketball program.
Yeah. So anyway, he told my dad, and oh yeah, Jerry, he helped our kids, and so then he said, have him call me, and he wrote me a letter on UCLA stationery about how I helped and what a great, you know, person I'd be for the future. So anyways, I'm still at it kind of, you know.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. So I worked in town here, vice principal 4 years, and taught at Cal State, Bakersfield, and Antelope Valley. And,
Outstanding.
Education's the way.
Absolutely. It's the magic bullet. Jerry, thanks for the call. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. I got to get going.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.
You know, one of the things that I watch on Reels, have you seen this thing where they go out randomly and they put a text card out and ask it to be read? I'll give you an example of it. It breaks your heart. I think this is just words. Yeah. The word is feeble.
Read this word. What the
Feeble.
is that?
That looks fake.
What did that say? Sound it out. Help. I don't know what the first letter is. Read this word.
What's the first letter? An S?
What's the first letter? It's K.
L, right? G?
An R?
Keeler. Keeler.
L.
They can't read the word feeble because it's in cursive. It's in cursive writing. But there's I got another one. There's other ones where they have them read a card, and it's like the suspicious, you know, it's not difficult words, but words that if you don't read and you've never seen these words, you have like rendezvous. They have absolutely no idea how to read them, and that's why I let Jerry go on and on and on, because I was, to be honest with you, looking for one of these. I thought I saved them, but I just get so frustrated I don't even play them because it'll break your heart to hear educated, and they're on a college campus. They're on a college campus asking them to read a simple card, and they can't do it. They really can't do it. Now it's my mission to find this thing before we get out of here. Just at least one of them, because it will absolutely devastate you how poor a reading level we are as Americans. And it's blowing my mind that I cannot find at least one of these things that I have saved. And apparently I cannot. That's too bad. But they absolutely can't get through the paragraph. They can't read it. And it's words like auspicious. Here's one. Okay, the index card says the deity had a premonition of the impending cataclysmic. God dang it. What did I just do? Cataclysmic event. Okay? That's what it says. The deity had a premonition of the impending cataclysmic event. Listen to these college-educated students.
What does it say? The deity had a promotion of the independent. What's this? Calislays Mike event? Read the index card.
She wear a silly hole of clothes that were extraordinary but somewhat gauche.
Read the index card. The Dithery had a promotion of the impending catastrophic event. Shit. Take a deep breath. Just breathe. Okay. What are you trying to read? Pretty much.
I mean, they can't read. They can't read. And they're laughing and joking. Like, that's what reading is all about, is getting familiar with words that you've never seen. And if you do not read, premonition looks like premonite, you know what I'm saying? Cataclysmic. And it's so incredibly sad. And that's why, I had some other audio, I might play it later in the week, where there was a guy that testified before Congress and is explaining that we have gotten beyond just the phones, but computers, they believe, have lessened the ability of our young students. Because we've been talking about this a lot because of socialism, that these young people are not going to outdo their parents for one of the first times in American history. Well, for one of the first times in American history, our education is going down, where your children and grandchildren are going to be dumber than you are. Are they going to be technologically superior? Of course. They can do all kinds of things with these phones, but can they read a paragraph? Can they write a 5-paragraph essay without chatbot or AI? And when I see these things, the answer is no. They can't, because they don't read and they don't write. And that is the absolute fundamental base foundation of education. If you can't read and write, maybe not write because it's the 21st century and these things, I don't even write my emails anymore. You know what I'm saying? It has a response for you. And I just hit it. I don't even write my return emails. Yes, that's fine. That'll work out great. Thank you very much. And just hit the button. So maybe not writing as much, but the idea that there are adults that cannot read a simple paragraph is frightening. It really is. Let's go ahead and take our final break of the day. Coming back tomorrow with local attorney and overall good aide Clayton Campbell. And it's always a bag of tricks with the folks at BC. They never give me a heads up. They call me around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, tell me who's going to join us at 5 o'clock. Very excited. Summertime, get ready for the fall session. But in the meantime, keep it locked. Scott Jennings at the top of the hour. Should be an interesting show. Scott Jennings used to be a very close aide to Mitch McConnell. Scott's from Kentucky. And so Mitch is going through some health issues, and I'm sure Scott Jennings is going to talk about that today. So keep it locked right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, where we're streaming live at kernradio.com.
Kern Radio, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN. Maxwell in the morning. Good till the last mic drop.
Judge blocks the Virginia law barring ICE agents from wearing a mask. Can you believe that? Can you believe they have to have a law prohibiting masks? That's the insanity going on. A judge ruled that it's likely unconstitutional. All they had to do was get a message from the DOJ. Excuse me, but that's unconstitutional. Go away. Swat them like a fly.
Weekdays 9 to noon, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1230, KERN.
You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right?
Let's do the Sangera real quick. I've read it, and I can do it in one take. Guarantee you one take. One take, Bailey. 3, 2. Hey, it's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Sangera Subaru. The world's biggest tournament is in full swing, and the summer, Sangera Subaru is bringing all the excitement home. So they're kicking it off right now in July with some incredible offers on new Subarus. Right now, lease a 2026 Outback Premium at CVT for $229 a month for 36 months and $5,017 due at signing. Plus, every Subaru comes standard with symmetrical all-wheel drive. So don't miss your chance to drive something brand new during soccer's biggest event of the summer going on right now at Sangera Subaru. Stop by, see my good friends Damon and Hassan, and test drive a brand new Subaru. Sangera Subaru, paving the way for a better community. 5500 Gasoline Alley Drive in the Bakersfield Auto Mall. Boom! Boom, 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 boom. One take, Bailey. Now, if I can only do the promo in one take. Three, two, sometimes our judicial system just absolutely baffles me, befuddles me, confuses me. I just don't get it. Why do we need a preliminary hearing for Tyler Robinson? As if this thing's not going to go to trial, the killer of Charlie Kirk? Are you kidding me? Let's get on with it already. Three, that was stupid. Yeah. 3, 2, it's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Wednesday TRBS. Well, it's a Wednesday. So our good friend, attorney, and overall good egg, Clayton Campbell, will join us. Plus, the folks from Bakersfield College will stop by in the 5. All that plus me at 3. It's TRBS right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230. I'll see you at 3.
How to do it? Listen to my show, Striking Gold, with me, Kenny Michaels.
Hey, folks, Scott Cox here, host of the First Look with Scott Cox radio program. You are listening to The Ralph Bailey Show right here on Newstalk 96.1 and AM 1230 KERN.
Never had to pack up my wardrobe to go home. I don't know what I was thinking. You will not see me in a long sleeve shirt tomorrow. That's for damn sure. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. And I have clean clothes too. I just did laundry before I left. I did laundry in LA. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking about. 842-537-6842-KERN. You got anything on the board?
Yeah, I got a couple.
What do you got?
Let's see. Hey, Ralph, have you seen the movie Young Washington?
No, but it seems interesting. I know nothing of George Washington's youth, although I bet it's, I don't know. I can't talk about it. We'll certainly discuss it on Friday with Mr. Bentley, but I find his adult life a whole lot more fascinating because, I just geeked out again. So I was stuck in a hotel Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. When did I come back? Saturday. And so I geeked out on the American Revolution again. And he was an amazing man. His time with the French and Indian, during the French and Indian Wars, I'm assuming that's what they're going to focus on, where he was working for the British. That's one of the things that I think we forget, or at least I consider myself a pretty knowledgeable historian. And even I forget that we were subjects of the crown. We considered ourselves Englishmen when we first came here. The Declaration of Independence was a gargantuan situation. I mean, again, I realize I'm being the master of the obvious, but it's nice to kind of refresh yourself. This is what I do with all the things that I study in history, whether it's the Revolution or whether it's the Civil War or the Kennedys or the mob or Vietnam or any of the topics that I really, really enjoy just throwing myself into. It's just fun every now and again to just kind of delve back into it. And the 4th of July is a really good opportunity, obviously. And I just geeked out on the American Revolution. And as I've talked about, George Washington was a failure. He was a god-awful military leader. But as time went by, because, the war was 8 years long. We declared independence in 1776, but the war didn't end until 1783. And there's a great story. That's why I think his adult life is much more fascinating that the night that they signed the Declaration of Independence, or not to not sign the Declaration of Independence, when they won the war, because what made Washington brilliant, even though he was a bad military strategist, was he figured out, and it's funny, we talked about this in connection to current events, it's what countries have essentially done to us, what Vietnam has done to us, and what I believe Iran has done to us, that they realize the time is on their side, and if they just wait us out, we'll get tired of this conflict and move along. And that's exactly what we did with King George III. Like I said, Washington lost more battles than he won, but there were two things that he grasped as this 8-year battle with the English moved on. A, I need to listen to my subordinates. I need to let them wage the war and just kind of be the overseer. And B, if I just continue to hold out and continue to be a pain in the ass to King George III, he's going to get sick and tired of sending his troops over here, particularly when, if you lose 3 out of 7 battles, you've got to come back and bring the dead back across the Atlantic and get reports. I mean, it was an interesting revolution. And it's just, there's so many topics like that. The civil rights movement that all just have so many different layers to them that you could study it for weeks and never really have a full grasp of all of the facts. That's what I love about studying those big events in American history. The different presidential campaigns, Teddy Roosevelt coming in after McKinley is killed, and Woodrow Wilson during World War I. I'm a geek. What do you want from me? One more, and I am off to coconut, as my phone would say, Joe's Coconut.
Really?
That's what my phone says. Joe's
That's
Coconut.
Odd. Let's see.
You want to hear it? You want to hear it? Hey Siri, call Coconut Joe's.
Calling Joe's Coconut.
That's wild.
Stupid. What do you got, Mary?
You could take your gun with you when you travel because your hotel room is your domicile, just like your RV is. I think you just can't take it into a national park.
And you just can't travel with it loaded. So you take the clips separate. I am going shooting this summer. If I have to pick up Jim Tazi and drag him to where he goes and shoots, I'm going to shoot my weapon. Want to thank Howard Marcus. Teresa Golder is back with us next week live in studio. Tomorrow, Clayton Campbell and the folks from BC. For Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. Wrap to you tomorrow.
Kern Radio, AM 1230, KERN. 96.1 FM, K241CI Bakersfield, an American General Media station.
Hall, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The preliminary hearing in the assassination of Charlie Kirk continued in Utah today.
Prosecutors are working to convince a judge that they have enough evidence against defendant Tyler Robinson to put him on trial for aggravated murder. We heard an investigator testify about Robinson's alleged movements around Utah Valley University on the day of the shooting. And prosecutors played previously unseen campus surveillance video that the investigator said shows Robinson climb over a railing onto a rooftop, crouch down, and run to a site overlooking where Kirk was speaking. Julie Eastman, a fan of Charlie Kirk, told me she lined up at 4 a.m. to snag one of just 14 seats available to the public.
Erica got teary-eyed a little bit and was, putting her head down a lot of it. Charlie's mom got emotional.
Outside court in Provo, Utah, I'm Hannah Schoenbaum.
New allegations surfacing regarding Graham Plattner, the Democratic Senate candidate in Maine. Correspondent Laura Winters reports.
There are growing calls for Graham Plattner to drop out of the race in Maine. This comes after an ex-girlfriend of Plattner is